This view never ceases to amaze me. How many times have I returned here to prosper upon my nostalgia? The waves are so free. The sun continues to set even faster. Those days were truly the best. I wonder how the crew is doing. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't notice you there. A crack in time? Could you be from the past? The future? An alternative route? Nevertheless, take a seat. You must be tired. You seem to be having difficulty getting accustomed to this new phase, so let me help you pass the time. Ready for some storytelling? This tale is from a long time ago. A brand new day had begun. The sun had just arisen from the horizon, and its rays illuminated the Deuhart crew. Things were calm this morning, or at least that's how it appeared. The twin tails of an orange-haired girl flowed as she sprinted through the deck. Her big smile made everyone's morale rise. This bundle of joy was Twina, the Grand Admiral's sister, daughter, niece, clone? Nobody really knew who she was to the Admiral, but she was undoubtedly related. They practically shared the same looks, the only difference being their age. While the Admiral appeared to be in her mid-20s, the little one appeared to be no older than 10 at the moment. "I'm hungry," she announced as she jumped through the kitchen's entrance.
Good morning, Trina.
The man behind the counter said, greeting the adorable child. "Good morning, Mama Doken," she immediately replied. The man smiled as he finally concluded his task. He served everything he had made on the table and then turned to face the small child. He was Doken, the Deuhart crew's cook, or DCC for short.
No need to be hungry when I made a feast.
He sounded quite proud. Twina's eyes glimmered and shined upon hearing the word feast. It was one of her favorites. "Thanks, Mama Doken. I'll eat it right away," she said after giving him a hug. The man returned the hug but then kneeled to be closer to her eye level.
Hold your horses. This feast is for everyone, not just you. So take a plate and grab whatever you're gonna eat.
Twina didn't like this at all, and she immediately turned to pouty mode. "No fair. Twina, feast."
Crew, feast!
He corrected.
Everyone needs to eat too!
"It should be my feast! Twina hungry! Twina feast!" Her thoughts were usually like this, even more so at this age. For a few seconds, she pretended to follow orders, picking up a plate and serving herself. But the instant that Doken took his eyes off her, she grabbed more plates and filled them up. They were now stacked like a tower of seafood. This was what she deserved. "Mine!" she shouted and ran off the ship's kitchen, making the cook mad.
Twina, get back here! Those are for everyone.
He shouted. "You'll have to catch me first," Twina announced while chuckling. The head start she had taken would make it hard to be caught.
At least she didn't notice the desserts.
Doken smirked momentarily as the hidden cake was still untouched. This didn't last long. A portal soon opened and the whole cake was also taken. Twina had done it again!
What the devil? Twina!
The young girl had many abilities in her arsenal. Creating portals was only one of many. With it, though, she could get anything and even go anywhere. She enjoyed it almost as much as flight or teleporting. As little Twina continued running through the halls, a friendly face came along and began to run beside her. With a smirk, he stole a shrimp from one of the plates and ate it, infuriating the little one. With a quick stop, she almost stumbled but managed to keep all the plates in hand. "No fair, Natsu! That was mine!"
From Bubbles yells, I doubt that's the case. Still, if you need a partner in crime, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
The boy told little Twina as he extended his hand. This young man was Zach Arthur, usually nicknamed Natsu by everyone. The crew had picked him up after one of their many missions last year. He was still a teen, meaning he wasn't officially part of the workforce. Yet the Admiral didn't hesitate to adopt him into her extended family outright. He was fairly tall for his age and sported spiky black hair, similar to several anime characters that inspired his look. Right now, Natsu was staring down at the tiny child in the hopes of stopping her escape, to restore the natural order that she so desperately wanted to plunge into chaos. At least, that's how he saw it. Zach stood proud in the clothes he had been gifted by the top-ranked members of the Deuhart crew. These had been gifts that made him feel like he belonged, and, more importantly, made him believe that a brat who wore nothing even remotely similar to the dress code was nothing but disrespectful.
Hurry up and hand half of them over. We go fast if we split it.
Twina trusted no word coming from Natsu's mouth. From all past experiences, she expected this to be a trap. Natsu was a total troll, so she formulated a plan on the go. "No!" she yelled. "All mine!" The twin-tailed girl needed more time, so this was but a mere distraction in the making. Zach reached down to grab the plates but grabbed nothing. The culprit had vanished. He was staring at the white metal wall that had been laid behind the girl.
Did she just...
He began to say, but was shocked to feel a presence behind him. Looking back, he saw a teen girl around his age with orange hair and twin tails staring up at him. She quickly tried an intimidation tactic learned from constant anime watching, the kabedon.
You didn't take an older girl's breakfast, would you, little guy?
As you all may have realized, this was Twina, only that now she had aged herself up to being 16 years old. Her age could be changed with her emotions and a bit of concentration. She usually defaulted to being 10, but it was only because it felt natural. Right now, though, she just needed to intimidate Zach to run off. That wasn't the only reason, as Twina also wished to embarrass him. Some little payback would make it more fun after all. Unfortunately, as the seconds passed, the boy's expression didn't change. His face was blank, totally unfazed. This angered Twina to no end.
What's wrong, Natsu? Cat got your tongue? Oh, I know. I totally seduced you, right? Right? Over and over and over. Right?
The blank stare soon turned to one of disgust, as Natsu was repulsed by the thought of finding the brat attractive in any way.
Hard pass.
Natsu let out as he turned his head as if he was about to puke. This action made Twina's face turn red as she poked him harder.
Liar! There's no way that you don't find me cute!
She cried out while moving her arms up and down in annoyance.
Stealing the Admiral's looks will not make a difference. A brat like you will be a brat regardless.
He responded, shattering the girl's plan into a million pieces. In anger, she fumed but quickly recomposed herself. Showing weakness to Natsu would mean defeat, and she wasn't going to lose to him. So in a desperate attempt of intimidation, she took a loud step forward, expecting a flinch, but there was none.
What? Natsu resisted the Twina stuff?
Look, just hand me the plates and we go back to our scheduled day. That's cool with you, Shorty?
Zach said as he booped the girl's nose and began to walk off to the plates that were now a few meters away, somehow still stacked. Twina burned with fury and embarrassment as she saw him walk it all off. He foiled every single move she had made. Twina raged as she cursed her small stature. If she had been taller, then it would have certainly worked. In a way, she was correct in this assumption. The problem with intimidating Natsu was that he had close to half a foot of height advantage over her. It wasn't her fault that she stopped growing at 5'1". That was her cap, no matter how much older she made herself, and this angered her quite a bit. Not to mention that she was way shorter than that usually, meaning that to her, Natsu had always towered over her.
If you were a little kid, you would fear Twina. Yeah! Little Natsu would be so adorable and easy to pick up. I could pat him and tell him that the feast is mine. And as a little kid, he won't be able to stop me without being a brat. Twina, genius! Wait a minute. I don't know how to change someone else's age. No! Curse you, smooth blade!
In defeat, teen Twina collapsed to her knees dramatically. She had defeated herself. In a last-ditch effort, she pointed her finger toward him and wished to make him a kid. Suddenly, he puffed into a cloud of pink smoke, confusing the girl.
Wait, what?
She wondered as she looked at her hands. Twina could swear that she hadn't done anything, yet it had worked! This unexpected victory filled her with joy as she jumped from the floor and flew to the cloud, expecting to pick up an aged-down Natsu. Yet, when the smoke dissipated, there was no kid Natsu. Instead, there was a plushie of regular Zach.
Huh? Neat!
In an instant, she accepted the results, placing the plushie on top of her hair and reaching to pick up the plates. Twina 1, Natsu 0.
Let me carry those for you, Twina. You seem pretty tired.
A familiar voice said from above, one that made Twina's face fill with joy.
Chonster!
She called out, returning to her usual 10-year-old self and hugging him tightly. One of Twina's favorites, if not her favorite person, had just come to help her out. This was Shonster, one of the top ranks from the Deuhart crew. If Twina paid more attention to the Admiral's lessons, she would know that he was a lieutenant here, higher than most, which were recruits.
Whoa there! Watch your step.
Sorry.
The little one said with a smile as she handed the stack of stolen plates to Sean. The man with the blue hair smiled back as he grabbed them. He was well aware of what Twina had done, but he had a soft spot for the girl, so he went in a different direction than the others. The cute child began to skip through the corridors now, Sean behind her as unbeknownst to her, they were going back to the kitchen. In her naive mind, they were just taking a shortcut to her room on the other side of the ship.
Hey, Twina.
Sean began.
What is it?
She asked, facing him again.
I heard that our crewmates were beginning to get hungry, so would you share some of your feasts with us?
For a brief instant, Twina raised her hand and placed it under her chin, thinking about it.
I would really appreciate you sharing some of this with them. Their smiles would be seen across the deck. Wouldn't that feel great?
He added. Little Twina's eyes shined, and she responded with a loud,
Yeah,
Sean's heart felt her warmth, and he chuckled. He knew that deep down, she was a caring child, just a bit of a prankster from time to time.
Very well. I'll return these to the kitchen so everyone can eat too.
He told her as he handed the girl a plate so she too would eat.
Okay, thanks, Seanster.
Twina responded, and both smiled before parting ways. As Sean walked off, Twina looked back at him. She felt a bit saddened that he didn't pat her head like always. Still, this feeling was quickly forgotten as her attention shifted to his tail moving around. Twina still wondered if Seanster was a cat or a fox, but was too scared to ask. She felt it could annoy him, so she kept it to herself. As the young one reached her room, she turned on the light and jumped to her bed. She quickly began to eat the food on her plate until it ran out. With a loud sigh of satisfaction, she allowed herself to collapse on the mattress entirely. She was satisfied. She almost fell asleep, but as she reached the top of her hair, she felt the plushie from before. She totally forgot about Natsu. She quickly rose and held the stuffed toy, thinking of how to reverse this transformation. This toy was indeed adorable, like the many plushies adorning her room. But this wasn't a toy. This was Natsu, and even if he was a jerk sometimes, Twina still wanted him to be okay. So she closed her eyes and began to concentrate. Minutes later, her little mind had short-circuited as she couldn't figure out how to turn him back. No matter what she tried, he remained the same, which worried her greatly. She didn't want to tell anyone else about this, but she needed help. Still, she held herself from going off, and thinking that she would be yelled at made her reconsider. Nevertheless, she entered into a mental conflict.
Dang, Twina, dang! Natsu plush is not Natsu! Natsu is Natsu. If I go to Bamadokin, he'll be like, just hurry it up and restore him! Just hurry it up and restore him! No, not him! If I tell Seanster, he'll be disappointed in me. I don't want that. Not him either. Wait, I can tell Adam. He'll know what to do. Oh, right. He's on vacation. Can't bother him. Can't tell Sergeant either. He'll throw me off board.
Not wanting to keep thinking of doom scenarios, Twina decided to get off the bed and think of a better solution. She took a deep breath and placed Natsu plush on the bed. Her current plan was to force it to work no matter what. Funny enough, as she was ready to make a special move on the toy, her vision spotted a delicious cake resting on the other corner of her bed.
Oh shoot! The cake!
She screamed, remembering that she had stolen that too earlier. Without hesitation, Twina grabbed it and opened up the portal to the kitchen. She remembered that the crewmates could like to taste it too, so she returned most of it back to the table it had been at. She did cut a piece for herself before closing the portal and ate it in one go. It was strawberry flavored. Without any further distractions clouding her mind, the young one continued her attempts to restore her friend until she collapsed from exhaustion. Twina was totally out for the count. When she awakened, she felt herself resting on someone's grasp, and as she opened her eyes, she saw who it was. Hi, Twina. You feeling okay? A larger girl with orange hair asked, a worried look crossing her face as she looked down.
Trina?
At that moment, she exclaimed, noticing that Trina was holding her and had even covered her with a blanket. Trina was sitting on the younger one's bed. Yep, the very same. You didn't visit me, which worried me, so I came to look for you. Are you feeling all right? The older one asked, now a bit calmer.
I think so. I was just... Wait! Natsu plush!
Little Twina screamed and jumped off Trina's caring hold. Natsu plush? Trina questioned, not knowing what her little version meant.
I was trying to restore Natsu back to normal. Where is he?
Twina frantically searched for her stuffed friend but found nothing. Even going below her bed bore no results. The Admiral held a burst of laughter with her palm. Seeing her other half this way was rather funny. I didn't see any plushes when I got here. Maybe it was a dream, Trina reasoned, trying to make Twina feel better.
A dream?
Yeah, I have weird dreams all the time too. And similar to you, sometimes they end up on the floor, Trina continued as she stood up and patted Twina. They can be scary, but once you realize they weren't real, you feel better. The head pat made the little girl feel better, and in response, she hugged her. Twina loved Trina very much and always felt safe with her. Being the Admiral of the Deuhart crew, Trina tended to be very busy at all times. She was in charge of an ever-growing fleet with many different kinds of people. She accepted most, even those usually rejected, as she wanted to unite everyone someday. Her good nature had allowed Trina to form a new family, and her wishes to expand it would never end. It was hard work coordinating everything to work, but she somehow managed. Her schoolwork and online persona were just an add-on to the already filled schedule. Regardless of the difficulties, she did her best. She could tell that everyone under her appreciated her hard work, and this gave her the motivation to keep it up. As long as this kept on, the longer she would go. And knowing everyone, this could very well mean an eternity, a fact that made her smile. Well, I gotta get going. Today is quite jam-packed, so better get on with it, the older girl announced as she broke the hug and made her way to exit the room.
Wait, Can I join? Twina wants to learn too!
With big starry eyes, Twina exclaimed, wanting to be alongside her other half today. The feelings between both girls synchronized for a short instant. Trina understood that this would make Twina happy. It wouldn't really bother her having her tagging along anyway. Teaching her little version could be fun too, she thought, and turned to tell her the good news. But before she could say it out loud, the door opened and came in a tall man wearing a military uniform. His looks were pretty generic.
Negative. The Admiral cannot have a distraction while at the conning tower.
The man, who had just interrupted the moment, stated. No hint of pity towards the child was present.
No fair, Sergeant!
Twina complained with yet another pouty face. He always did this to her. This man was Sergeant John Doe, a loyal member of Trina's elite forces. He was an excellent marksman at times, but not so much these days. Twina could not remember him not having bottles of alcohol near his working areas lately. The small child always saw him drunk and crying out for Yuri, the crew's nurse. Twina suspected that he must miss her, as she had been on vacation for quite a while now. Still, this did not excuse his behavior. From her point of view, he was a strict meanie to her most of the time, so Twina knew that he would never change. Perhaps today we could make an exception. Having Twina around could boost morale. Imagine how good it would be if we all worked better than usual. Isn't that something to strive towards, Sergeant John Doe? Trina said as her smile shined, blinding John Doe without even trying. It was as if she was glowing like a star.
Very well. For today, I'll turn a blind eye.
With this, he moved aside to let little Twina pass. Yes! Both orange-haired girls celebrated together and high-fived. It was a true feat to change the sergeant's mind. The rest of their day was spent together, much to the sergeant's distaste.
Sorry for involving you in all that.
Shawnster apologized with a nervous laugh. He was in his lab alongside a familiar spiky-haired boy.
Yeah. Just don't turn into a stuffed toy again, got it?
Natsu shouted, the trauma from such an experience still lingering inside his mind.
I'll try.
At the end of the day, both girls returned to Twina's room, and Trina read some bedtime stories, trying to help the adorable girl fall asleep.
One more, please!
Twina demanded in a childish tone, wanting Trina to stay a bit longer. Another one? But I ran out of new books, Twina, Trina pointed out. There was a stack of books beside her.
Make up one! Twina wants to hear it!
Trina stood up and placed the books back on the bookshelf they had been on earlier before coming around and sitting on the bed. She was still in thought about what to tell the younger girl. I'm not that good at making stuff up. I don't want to disappoint her. Maybe I could tell her one of my many dreams is a tale. That's it! Trina smiled as she patted the girl's head and said, just one more. You'll go to sleep after this, okay? Now happy, Twina nodded and awaited an amazing story. This is the tale of the Twinaverse, Trina began.
The Twinaverse?
Twina repeated in awe and wonder, wanting to know more. Yes, the Twinaverse in the not-so-distant future. A gateway between the many universes that surrounded ours will open. The air will shake intensely. An otherworldly sound will surround everyone briefly before complete silence. After that, more Trinas and Twinas will come to visit. Some will be friendly while others will be total meanies. The Admiral continued, and then stopped just briefly as she witnessed the wonder on the 10-year-old's face.
So more Twinas will come to play? And there are mini Twinas? Just like Sergeant?
The older one chuckled and responded, yeah, a ton of them will come to play, but there will also be some that won't be like that. And Twina, Sergeant John Doe isn't a meanie. He's just a bit hardened. It's been hard on him recently. So once he recovers, I'm sure that he'll be nicer to everyone.
Okay, I'll be nicer to him then.
Twina said with total sincerity. She hadn't been aware that he was going through hard stuff. Good girl, Trina said, and patted little Twina for a good while. The little one enjoyed the affection she received, so much in fact that it sometimes made her fall asleep just like this time. Trina carefully placed the blanket over her, and after ensuring that everything was okay, she whispered, "Sweet dreams, Twina." Minutes later, the Admiral had showered and gotten herself to her streaming room aboard the vessel.
You're late.
Vice Admiral J spoke upon seeing her enter. Sorry about that. I was getting ready. Trina immediately answered as she sat down on her gaming chair.
That and the kid.
He commented before sitting on his chair on the other side of the room. She's always so full of energy. I wish I could return to being that way, Trina admitted as she took a sip from her beverage. With a laugh, Jay replied,
Don't we all?
A minute or so later, the whole setup process concluded, and Trina began her live stream. Hey everyone, what's going on? Hi Natsu, hi Sergeant, hi Gavin, hi everyone. How's everyone's day been going? Let me know, please. If I sound tired, it's because I am. Today was a long day. Some sunbathing, some homework, and a lot of math. So if I sound kinda dead inside now, you know why. Forgive Trina. Before I forget, don't forget to enter the giveaway at our Discord. Just follow the instructions to have a chance to win one of the prizes. But now let's get down to business. We haven't yet completed this game, so today we will. Are you guys excited? Let's get to it. Inside his personal quarters, someone kept gifting subs as well as bits to his favorite streamer. Cheer, cheer, cheer! Thank you so much for the bits, Sergeant John Doe, she exclaimed upon getting the notification. A symbol of satisfaction exited the man as he slouched on his chair. This was only the first of many bits he would be gifting tonight. Where am I? Why is everything so foggy? Look, she's waking up! Someone beside me said. Why did her voice sound so familiar?
Splendid! The boot-up sequence was a total success!
Someone else replied, their voice also familiar. I opened my eyes for what felt like the first time, and I received a surprise. Right in front of me, I saw myself, and beside her was Sean, who seemed to be working on me for some reason. What was going on? How could there be another me here? What's going on? First Lieutenant Sean, apprehend the imposter beside you, I shouted, a bit scared. I couldn't exactly move from my position, so it was all up to him now. This made imposter me back away momentarily while Sean came to look over me with a strange device. After he clicked a button on it, I went deaf. I could see their mouths moving, but I could hear none of it. With every passing moment, their reactions grew even wilder, and I prepared for the worst. She seemed to be on the imposter's side. So could this mean that everyone else too was on her side? Such a possibility stirred fear within my very core. Suddenly, I saw Sean press a button, and whatever had been restraining me from moving went away, and I jumped to the other side of the room, crashing into the wall loudly. In confusion, I began to stand. Just what had occurred? I don't possess powers, so how did I just do this? Then 1 second after, I could hear the world around me, a fact that momentarily startled me. But after managing to recompose myself, I stood there locking eyes with the other me on the other side of the laboratory. It's true that I could make the first move, but Sean could use the device in his hand to disable me somehow. So instead, I approached with caution, my hands in the air. I mean no harm. Please don't take anything else away from me, I said with genuine intent, wanting them to understand how I felt. Upon hearing my plea, Sean lowered the remote and placed it back on his lab coat. At the same time, the other me began to take steps in my direction. I was wary of her intentions, yet no malice radiated from her at this time. What came next left me astonished. It was within an unquantifiable probability for this action to be performed, yet it felt so warm. The other me had begun to embrace me in a tight hug. It was a feeling so sweet that allowed me to reconsider my past thoughts on her. No imposter could radiate this warmth, which could only mean that I was the I won't harm you. You're in no danger, AI Trina. You're safe with me. And those words confirmed my fears. I was the fake one in this room. Tears made their way down my face upon this realization. What was I? Who was I? If I were to be a manufactured version of Trina, then it could only mean that, at any point, a replacement could be issued. I was of a meaningless existence. Knowing this, I held her too, hoping that at least this action could be considered real. There, it's okay. Take as long as you need. Her comforting words made the emptiness within me shrink just a tad, yet not enough to seize my now raging feelings. Sean approached us and placed his hand on top of my hair. Afterward, he began to caress my hair, handing some head pats to my soul. Those tears from before vanished as, instead, I could feel my very face heat up. It was a bit embarrassing, yet it made me feel whole. A few minutes passed and they sat down with me. Sean explained what I was and what the purpose behind my creation had been. I was an artificial intelligence created on the basis of Admiral Trina's thought patterns taken from last week. This had been the core of my function within a complicated string of code created by someone going by the name of Midnight, a person that, according to Sean, wasn't on the vessel but instead was residing within the Admiral's resort in an island not so far from our current coordinates. It saddened me that one of my creators wasn't here to see me on what could be considered my birth, yet it was to be expected. My creation process sounded messy and quite outlandish ever to work, yet here we were. Sean continued with his detailed answer to my question. My body was that of an android in the shape of the original. Synthetic skin had been fabricated to cover it all up, and that was the reason why I looked similar to Trina. Otherwise, I'd be an abomination on the loose. This revelation made me feel a bit conscious of my appearance and of possible future complications that could arise. Thankfully, Sean laid them to rest as he clarified that even though it was skin, it was far more durable than it seemed. He promised that I would never be compromised by a skin tear or any kind of injury for that matter. This made me smile. It made me feel powerful and indestructible in some sense. I was ready to ask another question to the scientific genius that was Sean, but this wouldn't come to be. Trina placed her hand on top of my head and told me, "That's enough chit-chatting, AI Trina. Let's see if you can pass off as me." Pass off as you? I asked, confused as well as intrigued. Yep, if you can take my place today as the Admiral and cause no suspicion, I'll grant you a place in the Deuhart crew. If you succeed, you'll be our next crewmate. For that moment, my eyes shined and sparkled. The excitement took hold of me upon her proposition. If I were to complete my mission, this task, I would be one of them. I wouldn't be a worthless fake. I had become so blind that I hadn't even considered what it had meant if I were to fail. I was but a naive child that ignored such an obvious possibility from ever occurring. Deal. I'll make you proud, Admiral Trina, I answered with glee, wanting her to know that I would do my best. I hoped that she caught it, that my intentions weren't misinterpreted. As we shook hands, I felt ready to carry out the daily responsibilities she usually got through. But something quickly struck me, similar to being struck by lightning. I had no recollection of what these tasks were. In fact, I had no memories from her besides the basic ones that had made me think that I was the original minutes prior. Sweat began to come out as I failed to put into words what I had just realized. How could a faulty artificial intelligence that lacks everything but basic thought patterns from the original ever serve as a replacement? I lacked her skills, her experience, and, most notably, her warm presence. I slapped both my cheeks to focus. Otherwise, I'd most likely remain here without moving. I had to make this discovery known to both her as well as my creator. So, I took a step forward but soon found myself on the floor. I had been tackled from behind by someone.
Oh, sorry, Trina. I didn't mean it.
Someone that sounded like a child spoke as I slowly got up and as I looked back to its source. What I saw left me, as well as that very child, astonished. In front of me stood a little girl that looked just like Trina. Deep inside, I could only squeal at her adorableness. She was so gosh darn cute. I assisted her by offering my hand, and she took it before screaming,
There are two Trinas!
This startled me and made Trina shush her from afar. It was a funny situation to me as the little one kept looking between the two of us. She was as confused as I initially was upon waking up. Still, I held in my laughter and waited to see what the original would do about this. She acted quickly, motioning the small me to come closer before saying, "Keep it down, it's a secret."
A secret?
Yeah, she's AI Trina, a friend. She's going to be me today, but nobody can know about it.
Nobody? Not even Jay?
Nope.
Or Sergeant?
Definitely not him. Their banter continued for a bit longer, and it made me smile. Their interaction made it clear that they knew each other quite well. Something did linger at the back of my mind, though. I felt like I should know who this little me was, yet I had no recollection of her existence, even the basic memories I inherited. I knew everyone important on board, yet I lacked data on her. It baffled me, but I wouldn't make it known. In this moment of me being spaced out, Trina grabbed my hand and then placed it on top of the little one. I returned to my senses as I heard her speak. AI Trina, this is Twina. The two of you will be together today, so be sure to have fun. Complete your mission alongside her, and once the day is over, come back to me. Oh, and Twina, help her if she needs help.
Okie dokie.
Twina quickly responded while raising her hand. I, on the other hand, nodded. The Admiral got a hold of both of us in a hug. It felt nice. Remember to play the role. If they suspect even for an instant, they could turn against you in a second. So, do your best, alright? Understood. I'll make you proud, Admiral, I answered as I got on one knee. My respect towards her was ever growing. My exaggerated action did make her laugh, though, making me feel a tad embarrassed.
Let's go, AI Trina. One time.
Little Twin exclaimed and grabbed my hand delicately. It was warm too and so soft. Relatively tiny too, which was expected from someone a fraction of my size. What came next was anything but delicate, though. In a blink of an eye, a fraction of a second, Twina had begun to sprint full force, taking me with her without much concern. Wait, Twina, slow down! I cried out desperately. This only managed to cause the opposite effect as her speed increased further. I was being dragged now. That was the way my first day started. Quite hectic, but that was all right. I loved it all the same.
I think it was too soon to give her that mission.
Sean commented as he served some coffee. Maybe, but the sooner we try it, the more likely she is to succeed. The Admiral responded as she accepted the mug.
Yes, I'm aware. It does worry me. We can't be certain that she won't malfunction, and if she does, we'll have to shut her down and try again. Twina won't be okay with that, and you know it.
Trina remained silent. The reflection of the coffee told the entire story.
You shouldn't have involved Twina so early into the AI experiment. I don't want her to suffer if the worst comes to be.
The scientist was now a bit down. Knowing that a failure in procedure could lead to a depressed Twina didn't make it any easier. AI Trina has my very essence, so she won't fail. After everything, I refuse to believe the contrary. She might not be me, but she's still someone that can bring happiness. The Admiral replied in a hopeful tone. It did feel like she was wavering in some sense. Shanster placed his hand on the Admiral's shoulder as he reassured.
It's only the first life test. We still have a long road ahead until she could be considered complete. Let's hope that she doesn't fail, but at the same time, let's embrace that if she does, she can learn from her mistakes, and that in itself is revolutionary.
Upon hearing those words, Trina began to remember the beginnings of this project and its ending. The girl smiled before shutting down for the last time. That was the last time Trina had shed tears in recent memory. I believe in her. She'll be responsible for maintaining everyone's smile someday. I won't be here forever.
Trina.
It's okay. Let's believe in AI Trina's success, the Admiral exclaimed, trying to change the mood back to one of hope, even though deep down, she was terrified of it all falling apart. Sean smiled and agreed with her. He too wished for it all to succeed no matter what. Part 4. Shutdown. Little Twina continued her sprint until we reached the deck. At that point, we stopped as Sergeant John Doe intercepted us.
Admiral?
He said while saluting my way. He must have genuinely believed that I was the real Trina. Sergeant, I answered in the most professional way possible, trying not to raise suspicion. He then turned his head and lowered his gaze until it met Twina's, and all the respect he displayed for me vanished when it switched to her. The unprecedented change amused me. Wasn't Twina someone important to Trina? I was sure of it, so why was the sergeant looking at the little girl like that?
Alright, that's enough from you. Now go do whatever you do while the Admiral and I go ahead with our duties.
He told Twina, which made her mad.
You go away! Trina's on her day off!
Day off?
He questioned mockingly, not believing Twina for a second.
Yeah, go do her stuff, Sergeant! Twina's with Trina, and that's that!
Once more, Twina raised her voice and held my hand with a tighter grip. I became conflicted. My mission was to pass off as Admiral Trina, but I lacked what was necessary to carry it out. If I were to go with the sergeant, I would most likely be discovered, rendering myself a failure. However, I was also destined for a similar fate if I followed little Twina. Disregarding my responsibilities and throwing them upon another crewmate to be with a young child would be rather inconsiderate. Both options weren't to my liking, yet they were the only options available for me to take. I analyzed both as well as the many possible outcomes, and upon seeing the results, I made my move. She is indeed correct, Sergeant John Doe. I've claimed today as my free day, and you will respect that decision. Now move aside so the two of us can proceed with our day. I took charge after saying that and led Twina away. In a way, I was proud of myself for making it clear that I was in charge, but it also felt so wrong. If only I'd paid more attention upon leaving, I would have noticed his suspicion. He hadn't believed a word, and worse, was now on high alert. He would be trailing us until the perfect opportunity decided to show itself. I was too naive to realize this outcome, and it would come to bite me later. That was too close for my liking. I let my back rest on a wall. I was beyond stressed by that hostile encounter.
You did well,
The little one beside me said, pronouncing my designation differently from what it was earlier. She also patted me on the back.
Yeah, I think it suits you better than AI, Trina.
She told me with a big smile. I smiled back and hugged her. I like it. I'll be I, but only between the two of us, okay? We don't want everyone to find out, right?
Right.
After saying it, she held her pinky finger my way and added,
Pinky promise.
Pinky promise. With that, we made our first pinky promise. I'd received a nickname from Twina, a nickname that I would treasure for the rest of time. After a few twists and turns around the vessel, Twina and I eventually reached the galley where the famous DCC resided, preparing a meal for the crew. The place was steaming, and I began to sweat the closer to the stoves we got.
Admiral!
He let out upon seeing me. The shock in his face was quite apparent.
Mama Dogen, we're hungry.
Twina quickly shouted from my side, making me wonder if this would distract Bomba or not. The DCC stood proud, and a wild expression made itself apparent. What came next is hard to describe, but I believe it to have been him entering cooking mode, or something of that sort. His movements and reflexes increased exponentially. I could only stare in awe as he put his very soul into the food he was making.
Feast your eyes. I shall show you what a true cook can do.
He exclaimed out of nowhere, startling me. Can't wait, I responded, still recovering from it. His impressive skills took center stage as he moved from one side of the galley to the other, inspecting and making minute changes to each and every utensil in use. I might have been thrilled with this process, yet the little one beside me seemed impatient. Twina was unable to remain still, so I patted her to see if that would calm her down. There, I said. He'll be done any minute now.
He better.
She replied with a cute pouty look that made me want to squeeze those red cheeks of hers. Bamadokin took quite a bit to finalize his delicacies, so I ended up doing just that. I think it made us both feel better.
Breakfast is served. The first taste should be yours, my Admiral.
The DCC presented the massive feast on the table, consisting of quite a variety of seafood. I almost couldn't hold myself back from eating it whole. It was just too enticing.
Itadakimasu!
Twina shouted from below as she took a bunch of sushi rolls and stuffed them into her mouth. This, of course, made the cook react in shock, followed by anger. Bomba attempted to stop her, but as expected, she was too quick to be stopped. So as those two continued their little game in the background, I took hold of one of the few sushi rolls that still remained on the table. As I held it, I felt a strange feeling, almost as if I was inspecting the item in my hand more than I should have been able to. A display soon spawned on the side of my vision saying, "Scan complete." I wasn't aware that I had such an ability in my arsenal, so I expanded the display window almost automatically without moving a muscle. Within it, I could see the ingredients, expected cooking time, and even the caloric intake of consuming this dish. There were also graphs, amongst other more detailed analysis, but I decided to skip those. I picked another dish and repeated the so-called scan. Once more, after a few moments, I was presented with the same display window. I smiled. I was so happy to discover an exceptional quality within myself. It also awakened a curiosity within me. What else could I scan? Only time would tell. I placed the second dish down and picked up the previously discarded sushi roll and took a bite. Light, the spectrum of light. An ever-expanding feeling from within. That single bite made me go into a state I couldn't understand, yet it was something out of this world. What a delish! What a delish. Similar to the little one, I too began to eat more of what had been made by Bomadokin. The burst of rising emotions was so addicting that I continued to fuel it. Everything on the table was a blessing to my taste buds. I was yet to notice, but tears were streaming down my cheeks. The more I consumed from this divine buffet, the more these torrents grew in power. I was so glad to have been allowed a chance at this.
Trina!
I heard Bomadokin mutter while looking my way. He was in awe at what I had done. Well, more like at what I was doing, as I hadn't stopped. "I'm sorry." After gulping it all in one go, I cried out, trying to patch the mess I had nurtured into existence. The DCC's reaction left me somewhat embarrassed. He had placed his hand on the back of his head before replying to my cry.
No apologies needed, Admiral. I'm just only contemplating your legendary feasting. It reminded me of a saying.
Oh, I had turned completely red by this point. I lacked context on what a Saiyan was, yet I came to assume that it was something childish, so I stopped eating altogether. Upon witnessing me taking a few steps back, Boma started laughing.
You can continue eating. I'll prepare more food for the crew if needed.
Really? This had escaped me without thought, making me redder as I placed both hands over my loud mouth.
Of course, I don't mind.
Oh, when Twina does it, it's wrong, huh? But when Trina does it, she gets more clear favoritism.
Twina complained from her position back there. She was fuming, moving her arms up and down like a cute child.
Where did you learn that big word?
Bomba exclaimed in shock, leaving me curious as to why this was considered weird.
Anime subtitles.
Oh, I figured.
But don't deflect Twina. You're an unfair meanie, Bomadokin.
With a big sigh, the man leaned on one knee to be closer to the girl's eye level and patted her hair.
I'm sorry, I wasn't aware that Trina had such an appetite. You must have gotten it from her.
As I heard him, I felt a void opening up inside me. Was I being flattered, or was I being made fun of? Not knowing the answer, I decided to continue to analyze the conversation. On the other hand, Twina's eyes shined as she nodded her head like crazy.
Yeah, Twina did.
Very well, from now on, I'll do my best to fill your bellies. I'll up my skills and prepare feasts for you two individually. That's a promise.
His declaration of improvement made my heart race, but I immediately told myself to stop. I was behaving like a child. I was supposed to be Admiral Trina, not freaking Twina too. I appreciate it, Bomba, but that won't be needed. I bowed professionally, which made Twina look at me with a face that sent shivers down my spine. Her eyes were like staring into an endless abyss that would consume everything nearby.
Oh, noted. I'll still make yours, Twina.
Yay!
Like a shining beacon, the little one's eyes lit up. She jumped out of joy while circling the DCC. After we finished eating the breakfast buffet, we gave her thanks and left. Interestingly enough, as we walked out, a spiky-haired boy collided with me. The impact hadn't moved me at all, though it had made the teen fall back onto his butt. "Are you alright, Zach?" Lending a helping hand.
Admiral?
He stuttered as he proceeded to short-circuit in front of me.
Natsu's too shy to speak with his crush.
Crush? I screamed in my mind. Zach Arthur had a crush on Trina? With utter difficulty, I contained myself and awaited the boy's response. Unexpectedly, his face went blank the instant he heard Twina mocking him. This soon became one of absolute distaste.
That's not even close to the truth. I would never have a crush on the Admiral.
I felt as if an arrow had pierced me for some unknown reason.
Sure, you like her, Natsu. You're just too scared to admit it.
Zach accepted my hand, and I assisted him in getting back up. He went to fight Twina immediately after.
First of all, it's the the Admiral. She's far too old to be my type.
Far too old? It felt as if a rain of arrows had pierced my backside.
Not to forget, it would be unfair for her. She already has someone.
Trina has someone? I internally exclaimed, almost falling into addiction for more gossip.
Yeah, right. So Sundari, you Natsu. You so like her and you know it. Come on, Natsu, say it.
He began to turn red and shouted.
I don't like her like that. She's like a mom.
Just hearing those words made me want to hug the kid. From within, I could feel a strong need to make him know that it was okay. That it was all right to feel that way. Zach. The moment was utterly ruined as Twina bumped me out of the way to tease him further.
I can be your mom, little Natsu. Twina can fill that role too.
I'm out.
Zach said and stormed away, walking off defeated. He couldn't even look me in the eyes after what the little one had told him. As soon as I could, I looked down upon the little gremlin, ready to give her a taste of my mind. That was very mean, Twina. You were so harsh to him for no reason whatsoever. Go apologize.
I don't wanna. He's also mean to me.
In what way? I asked, ready to give her a chance to explain herself.
He thinks that just because he's bigger that he can order me around. He also makes fun of me by saying that I have a smooth brain, and of my breakfast choices, and of my stuffed toys. So I can make fun of him too. It's only fair.
After being given her perspective, I was able to understand the situation quite well. It appeared that Zach and Twina had developed a sibling rivalry, so they behaved this way around each other, Zach being the older one while Twina filled in as a younger kid. It would be rude of me to disrupt this cycle, even more so being someone new to the mix, so I opted to stay out of it. I see. Still, I want you to be nicer to each other. I don't think either of you should be mocking each other. As two members of the same crew, you should be in complete unison. I know that it might be hard to believe, but if you started to treat him better, he would return the gesture in kind.
But Natsu is a meanie.
I placed my hand on top of her beautiful orange hair and spoke. If he doesn't improve, then I'll talk to him about it.
Pinky promise?
Pinky promise. With that said, we made another promise, and as the ritual concluded, she hugged me and somehow got on my back. How did you do that? I asked in total awe. I hadn't expected Twina to have unique qualities similar to mine.
I teleported, see?
She said, and demonstrated it by appearing in front of me. Teleporting? I want to learn that. Twina, please teach me how to teleport. I grabbed both of her hands and our gazes met directly. The motivation to learn the skill had been born that very instant.
Teach? But I just teleport.
She responded with a face almost representing a question mark. This made me realize one terrifying thing. Twina had no clue how her special ability worked on a fundamental level. She did it instinctually, just like I performed my scan. You don't know how to do it?
I want to teleport, and I teleport. It's cool.
Yeah, cool. Such a vague explanation would get me nowhere. Wanting to replicate her technique would prove impossible without a proper explanation. In a way, it was understandable. She was but a child, but on the other hand, it was heartbreaking. If she were to have more of these and didn't know how to use them, it could be dangerous to the Deuhart crew.
I want to show you something. Look!
She pointed forward, and a spherical shape appeared. I couldn't avert my eyes from it. It was otherworldly in nature. What is that?
A portal! Hop in! I want to show you a little secret.
Little Twina didn't skip a beat as she jumped into it and vanished. I stared at it, wanting to believe that it was a prank of some sort. I came to accept that this, too, was real. I placed my palm against it and went on to scan it. After a few seconds, I was told, inconclusive scan, a result I didn't expect. I went to the details, and it told me that it emanated energy of unknown origin. Once more, I attempted a second scan. This one, too, bore no results. I let out a sigh of defeat and jumped in as previously instructed by Twina. My eyes closed, and upon opening them, I found myself suspended in the air. I was floating as if I was on water, even though I wasn't. My vision was almost null. Endless darkness surrounded me. Where are we? I asked as I heard Twina giggling from behind.
The void! Trina discards stuff that doesn't work here.
That was the concise answer given. Primordial fear got a grip on me after hearing that. Would I end up here if I were to fail my mission? Would Trina discard me too? I began to shake and went into a fetal position as I drifted further inside my thoughts. In faint burst, I could hear distantly. They were so quiet that they were almost filtered out as background noise. A sudden slap woke me up. I had been slapped by Twina, who's in tears. Twina? I said, still a bit spaced out.
Don't scare me like that. If you fall asleep here, you get stuck.
Get stuck? How? I pondered while trying to get into a better position. Instead, I ended up spinning in place.
Shawnster says that if you lose consciousness here, you end up in stasis. Was it stasis? Whatever. If you fall asleep, you get stuck here.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Twina. Ever since she slapped me, I noticed that she felt different. More mature, perhaps? Now, though, she had begun to go back to her usual kid self. Was this too an ability of hers?
Why are you doing that,
I stood completely still as she slowly swam to me. I was scared to admit admit my worries to the little one. I didn't want to worry her about anything, but perhaps it would be for the best if she knew my true feelings. Twina, I'm scared.
Oh, you're scared of the dark too? I'll hold your hand.
She said sweetly as she got a hold of it.
Trina taught me that even though the darkness is scary, never let it scare you. It can't hurt you.
I felt a bit shy out of the embarrassment born from her thinking that I was scared of the dark. I had to shake my head just to stop thinking about it. Not that. I'm scared of ending here. If I fail my mission, Trina will dispose of me. And if what you said is true, I'll end up here forever. A sudden shot to my forehead made me flinch. It had been one of Twina's.
Don't be a Dumbo. Trina would never do that to you, You're the best.
How could I be the best? I haven't been doing my mission.
You're making everyone smile. That's more important.
I'm making everyone smile? I asked, not being able to believe such words. She was most likely trying to make me feel better. That's why I tried to tell myself, but her eyes told me otherwise.
Yeah, Trina's always too busy and in her room to be with everyone else. That's why everyone was shocked to see you. They want to spend more time with her, and you're allowing them to do that. So, you're the best.
I felt accomplished for a brief moment. I was making sure that their smiles remained intact, those same smiles that Trina had created. But that was also the moment that I realized something. It was all a lie. Keeping their smiles this way would be lying to their faces. Their feelings were meant to resonate with Trina. They had been happy to see who they thought was their Admiral. Unfortunately, they were only seeing a cheap copy, me. Would their smiles remain in place if they were to discover the truth? Would they all turn against me? I knew the natural outcome of this. It was logical. I didn't want to accept such a pessimistic outcome. I wanted to remain optimistic, but how long would it take until it all came crashing down? A fake is a fake. That cannot change. Twina took notice of my silence and pulled me as she floated away.
I still have something to show you.
She wasn't kidding one bit. Twina did have something to show. In front of us floated a colossal doll-like being that somewhat resembled Trina. Somewhat is a key word here.
Ta-da! This derpy thing is a Twina stand. She was meant to be a means of defense for the crew, but after many complications, she was discarded.
The little one explained while hitting it over and over with her hand. I took an interest in this Twina stand. It was indeed considered a failure, but the chance of having something of use was so high that I decided to scan it. 155 meters tall and very sturdy. If perfected, this could protect the Deuhart crew against anything. Think I, how could he improve on this model to make it more efficient? My thoughts went rampant as I continuously scanned the stand. The more data, the more likely I was to correct its flaws.
You good?
Yeah, I answered nervously, taking my hands off the colossal one. By now, I had enough detailed information to make the changes myself. The girl grabbed my hand again, and with a smile, she said,
Let's teleport again. I want to show you more things.
I returned the gesture but moved my head from side to side. We had had enough already. I needed to return. This saddened her greatly, but she agreed to it. I thanked her, and she opened another portal. Once we got through, we were on the upper deck. I was happy to be back. The wind was making my hair flow from side to side. The breeze was lovely too. The sun wasn't so harsh either. Just about perfect. I took in a big breath and exhaled right after. It was time to do my mission. I started by making my way to the conning tower, but prior to my arrival, I was interrupted by a recruit. He was quite smug as he asked,
What are your 3 sizes, Admiral?
Almost instinctively, I replied, I don't mean to be rude, but that's not something I'm willing to answer.
Rainbow, that's rude!
Twina shouted right beside me.
Quiet down, Runt. I'm asking the Admiral, not you. Now back to the question. Are you ready to answer it, artificial intelligence?
My perception shifted as he called me that. How did he know? How could he figure this out? If he did so quickly, it would mean that I wasn't that good at hiding it, and that soon, everyone would know it. I assure you, I'm not an artificial intelligence. AI wouldn't be able to respond as quickly and in depth as I have been. So please move aside. I have work to get to. I was foolish enough to fall for his trap. I could have prevented it. Out of my peripheral vision, I saw more recruits approaching, and in front of them stood Sergeant John Doe.
Hey, you there. Stay where you are.
He ordered while raising his rifle. Oh, is that an order, Sergeant? I growled back, further annoyed as everyone nearby pointed their weapons at me. He took a stand and followed it with a,
Oh, your authority is unrecognized. You will never order me. Artificial intelligence.
Sergeant, stop it! Leave her alone!
Twina tried to defuse the situation, but I was too far in to go back. How rude! You are talking to your Admiral here, you know? I will not take this lightly. He didn't back down either.
Bring me the real Admiral Trina. I do not take orders from imposters. and even less AIs.
The sergeant's words hit me like blades piercing my very soul. Each one hurt more than the last. I could feel everything crumbling away. And even then, I tried to keep up the charade. This was all I had. You're looking at her, you fool! How dare you insinuate that I'm a fake or even a machine? I'll have you know that I'm a very important admiral, and I won't stand for this kind of talk. Apologize at once. It wasn't even a full second after I finished that multiple armor-piercing bullet shot me down. It had been multiple well-placed snipers that had taken the shot. I fell back and crashed into the floor. Her scream echoed as I tried to get up. She was in front of me, and many projectiles were hitting a weird blue force field. I wasn't hurt or even bleeding. The 4 spots the bullets had hit were very sore, but nothing else. I was still intact, at least.
I can't keep it up. I escaped!
Twina pleaded as she tried to keep up the barrier she had most likely created. A flood broke out as I jumped away from her protective shield. I didn't want her to be hurt because of me. I didn't want anyone to end up injured because of me. Regrettably, I was knocked away by the blast of a propelled grenade hitting me head-on. It had been shot by the same recruit that had baited me, Recruit Rainbow. I tried my best to crawl away, but he stomped as hard as he could on my neck.
What a pity. I thought you were gonna put up a good fight. But instead, here we are. You have no sense of humor, and like everything that makes the Admiral great.
You'll regret this, I silently cried as I tried to get him off me.
Rainbow, stand down. She's mine.
The sergeant ordered while approaching me.
Understood. I'll be sure to have fun with whatever he leaves behind.
Rainbow creepily told me now and took his boot off my neck. A primal surge of anger took hold of me, and I yelled, "Go fuck yourself!" without a second thought. I just did it. I wasn't allowed to stand fully. A blade was already at my neck. The sergeant seemed prepared to execute me.
Oh, our Admiral would no under circumstance swear you have given yourself away, artificial intelligence.
With this, the grip of his weapon became firmer, and I began to feel the blade on my skin. I had failed, so I closed my eyes, awaiting my end. I had failed Trina. No, not just her. I had failed everyone. The seconds trickled by, and nothing changed. Had it been painless? Now curious, I opened my eyes and saw the Admiral before me. She held the sergeant's right hand so it wouldn't go further. Behind her was Shawnster with a peculiar blue screen device. "Everyone stand down!" she ordered, making the recruits stumble and tremble.
That also goes for you too, Sergeant.
Sean added. With apparent distaste, he responded with a monotone.
Lieutenant?
Momentarily, I felt a sense of relief. I thought that she had saved me. I naively thought that the Admiral had come to get me out of there safely. If only. Without warning, I lost control of my limbs, causing me to collapse onto the deck's floor. My fate was sealed. This I finally realized. With tears in my eyes, I tried to plead, yet nothing came out. My mouth wouldn't move. Only my eyes remained under my control. Minutes later, I'd been transported into the lab and placed into the same bed I had been in earlier. I wanted to scream, to cry out. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to be discarded. With my whole being, I wanted to try to reason with them. It was true that I had failed today, destroyed any chances of ever being a crewmate. But still, I wanted to live. If I couldn't do anything now, I would disappear into nothingness. My very existence would be a mere instant in history, one to be forgotten shortly after. After what happened, I can't let you be my replacement, AI Trina. She sat on a chair beside the bed. Once more, I attempted to say something, anything. The same as before, nothing came out. A look of shock crossed before she moved her head to face the lieutenant. Sean let her talk. His reaction to this was rather odd, as he looked at the remote from earlier with confusion and pressed one of the lower left side buttons. Something within me clicked after that button press, and I quickly cried out, "Please let me explain! Don't throw me into the void!" "You know about the void, Twina, huh?" She muttered and then spoke normally. "There's nothing to explain. I saw what happened." Her reply to my cries scared me. She wasn't interested in my side of the events, but more terrifying was the fact that she hadn't denied the void part. I was going to be thrown away. This much seemed certain to me now. "Please! I was set up! The sergeant!" I began to scream, but her fingers stopped me from continuing. "I'm aware. I sent you out too early. The reason for your failure boils down to me. To you?" I couldn't understand. How could this in any shape or form be her fault? Admiral Trina had not been responsible for any of it, so this made no sense. She stood up and placed her hand on top of my hair. As she patted me, tears began to swell in her eyes. At this point, I knew what would occur next. I could have cried and screamed amongst many things, but I decided to accept it. At least my final moments would pass quickly with head pats. I'm sorry. I promise that next time will be different," she told me softly, trying to hold in her feelings. I simply smiled. Slowly, I lost feeling over everything, and my world went dark. This was it. I had been shut down. Me being discarded into the void was most likely being carried out now. A part of me felt at peace. I had failed and all, but I had managed to enjoy so many things. I had gotten to meet some wonderful people. This was enough. But another part of me was the complete opposite. It cried out for more. I wanted to succeed, to make Admiral Trina proud, to learn more things from Lieutenant Shonster, to be able to eat more of Bobadokin's tasty cooking, to be given a chance to have a chat with Zach. Oh right, Twina. I hadn't thought about her. It saddened me to leave her behind. She was my only friend, the one who gave me a name, the one who accepted me the way I was, the one who tried to save me. Twina was truly unique. I wish that I had spent more time with you. I'm certain that it would have been a blast, and even though we won't meet again, I wish to make a promise to you. The next time we meet, I want us to smile and laugh together, to eat until our bellies burst out. You tried saving me, so I would like to save you too. It's only fair, right? That's what friends do. The girl named I will be waiting for that day. Until then, farewell, Twina. These thoughts soon vanished, as well as the rest. I was no longer there. The Admiral's quiet fury was barely being held back as she moved back and forth inside the interrogation room. In there, the two main culprits of the incident resided. The sergeant who detested AIs and the private who had made a poor girl lose everything.
Well, in my defense, we weren't informed of this temporary change in command.
The sergeant spoke, receiving a death stare from the Admiral immediately after.
What he said. Plus, we can't be blamed for.
The lowest rank there began to add, but was abruptly stopped by the orange-haired Admiral flipping the table. Her fury was ready to be unleashed. Someone like you does not deserve to be heard, so shut your mouth! The usual happy-go-lucky Trina was now enraged like never before. The aura she emanated was unlike anything the two underlings had ever experienced. But with an unexpected sigh, it all changed. The air became colder as Admiral Trina went fully serious. I heard every word you said to her. Someone as rotten as you does not belong in my crew. It infuriates me that you represent the complete opposite of what we are trying to build. How could someone so wretched be amongst everyone here? The man quickly went on the defensive. He felt insulted.
Me? Wretched? You should look at yourself. All high and mighty when you are no different from the rest of us. I know the things you have done. This masquerade doesn't excuse your shameful acts.
Are you done? Trina asked. This scornful private didn't face her. His very presence was repulsive to her. The apparent disrespect shown was enough to make Rainbow attack her. Unfortunately for him, he hadn't yet realized that he was now alone in a suicidal rush.
That's enough from you.
With a tackle, Sergeant John Doe restrained him. The private desperately tried to escape the grip that held him in place. Like a wild animal, he wailed and screamed. His energy was wasted in vain. There was nothing he could have done to change the punishment he was about to receive. He had brought this upon himself. I, at this moment, strip you of your rank as well as restrain you from ever returning to the Deuhart crew. Your actions are unacceptable. So, you leave me no choice but to send you to the retention center on IO5 until further notice. Never again will you set foot on my vessel. Sanea, take him away. After her speech, she turned away to fix the mess she had made earlier. At the same time, Captain Sanea deactivated her cloaking tech and took the now silent Rainbow out of the room. Now only the sergeant remained. He too awaited some kind of punishment for his actions. I know that I should have told you about my plan, that I can give to you. However, I cannot ignore the way you treated her. Your behavior today was out of line.
If I may speak, Admiral, I'm aware of my transgressions. I will take any punishments you have set out for me.
The sergeant had spoken his mind, making Trina look down, now just a tad conflicted. It took her a moment to continue. Just this once, I will hold myself back. I will not demote you. Instead, I will send you over to IO1 so you can reflect on today's event. Is that all right with you, Sergeant John Doe?
Well, I find it ought to be sent to the Deuhart Resort, but I will not complain. I will do as ordered, my Admiral.
After a salute, he made his way to the door. And Sergeant, Trina reached out.
Yes?
Please don't hold anything against her. She wasn't ready yet. Next time, it will go smoothly. I promise. John turned his head, and Trina saw the look in his eyes. That look he had ever since that day. The true face behind the mask.
I cannot do that, Trina. Not after Yuri.
What happened?
The little one asked as she woke up. Quickly, she jumped out of the bed she had been left in and realized where she was.
Wait, I'm in the infirmary? Oh no,
With a shout, she created a portal and jumped in, tackling Trina to the floor on the other side. Ouch! The older girl cried out as she got up. Twina was fuming in front of her now.
Bring her back! Bring her back!
The desperate shouts of the little one stunned her. It felt as if her entire body cramped. However, the Admiral couldn't stop now. She had to make things clear before things got worse. I can't do that, Twina. AI Trina's not ready yet. If I were to turn her back on, the same thing would happen. She's not ready to complete her objective. Trina had placed her hands on the girl's shoulders, trying to convince her that this was the correct thing to do. As expected, this did not work. If anything, it only fueled the angry child into a tantrum as she slapped both hands off her and jumped back.
I is my friend! Who cares if she's not ready to be you? I is I! She doesn't need to be you! And why would she need to be you? You are you, and that's enough!
You're right. The Admiral decided to take another approach, and she sat by the wall, inviting Twina to do the same. Once Twina sat beside the Admiral, Trina continued, "You're right in some sense, but I can't just go back on my decision. AI Trina was created to be me, and I know it sounds wrong, but I need her to be able to excel at it perfectly without fault." Now a bit calmer, Twina responded,
She doesn't need to be you. She should be whoever she wants to be. Trina, why are you trying to force her? It's not fair, and you know it.
"Enough, Twina. I made my decision clear. AI Trina will remain deactivated until she can be updated to accomplish her mission." Both sides refused to budge, so they continued to stare each other down. Neither one wanted to hurt the other, but they were beginning to lose hope of convincing each other. "It's getting late. Go to bed, Twina. We'll discuss this later," Trina said as she prepared to leave for her quarters.
Fine!
Twina whined. She wasn't happy about this at all. "Oh, and before I forget, promise me that you won't mess with the project, alright? Sean is working on it, and you don't want to mess it up for him, right?" A fake smile appeared on the mischievous girl as she replied with a convincing,
I promise.
hiding her crossed fingers behind her back. "Well, good night," the unsuspecting Admiral let out and walked off.
Good night.
Twina waited until she couldn't hear Trina anymore, and once this happened, she began to run towards Shawnster's lab.
Sorry, Trina, but Twina can't abandon a friend.
Little Twina didn't stop until she made it all the way to the lab's door. She quietly placed her ear against the cold door and waited to see if she could hear if anyone was inside.
I don't think Shawnster's here. I'm sure he won't mind if I go in.
And with that confidence, she opened the door. The lights were off, so Twina flipped a switch, confirming that no one was there at the moment. Twina slowly closed the door behind her and locked it.
That should buy me some extra time.
She exclaimed, covering her mouth to hide her giggles. The laboratory was quite big, enough to fly around in and store many giant machines as well as tables and beds. And in one of those beds resided an unconscious girl that Twina recognized.
Aye!
Twina got to her side and tried to shake her awake, but nothing seemed to work.
Come on, Aye, snap out of it!
A while later, she gave up on shaking her friend awake, and instead, she began to look at her surroundings, finally getting to spot the computer next to the bed where AI Trina was.
Aha! Bingo! Computer time!
Twina was excited as she turned it on, and lucky for her, it had no password protection. She hummed pretty loudly as she looked around at a bunch of files that made her head hurt. Just a bunch of numbers and letters and number letters and letter numbers! Her poor head throbbed the more she tried to understand what she had in front of her.
Aye! Too hard for Twina! Twina tired.
And just like that, she knocked herself out. The Vice Admiral turned his head as he heard the door behind him open. A smile appeared as he witnessed the Admiral, who had just slipped in quietly.
Ready for the stream? You're on time for once.
No stream tonight, she answered as she began to turn off everything on her side of the room.
If you say so.
Jay shrugged his shoulders before returning to his ongoing Call of Duty match. He was playing a new map that had just been released. Usually, Trina would have remained to keep him company, but she wasn't feeling well right now. Today had been hard, and she only wished to rest for now. Good night.
Night.
After their exchange, Trina left the streaming room and wandered the dark hall until she made it to her personal quarters. Once inside, she took off her uniform and threw herself onto the bed without hesitation. Tomorrow's another day, Trina. Tomorrow is another day. Sometime later, she had fallen asleep, hugging one of her fluffy pillows. The blanket was only half covering her. At last, she had reached a state of momentary peace.
Oh, shoot!
The waking girl screamed as she jumped out of the chair. Her face had been resting on the keyboard that was now wet because of her drool.
Shawnster's gonna kill me! Wait, I don't get distracted, Twina! Concentrate! You have to save I!
Now focused, the 10-year-old girl got on the chair and got her eyes on the screen. Unlike before, though, now she saw that a weird green and black tab had opened up. It said Artificial Intelligence version 1.0, and toward the bottom, there was a boot-up sequence command.
There!
Twina shouted as she clicked it multiple times. Nothing happened, though, and she became impatient.
Initiate sequence! Come on, do
The excessive amount of clicks performed made the security measures of the lieutenant's computer activate. Thanks to these, Twina would face a challenge that she was not ready to face.
Confirm that you're not a smooth brain? You don't scare me. Bring it on, computer. Twina is no smooth brain.
Her overconfidence led her to click on Proceed, where she was met with the worst type of question in existence, a math question.
What's the square root of 225? How should I know? That number is evil. Too big. No, Twina, focus. Shasta taught you about square roots. It's probably a perfect one, right? It looks like it could be one.
And so began a long stretch of time where Twina manually tried to figure out the answer. She knew that if it was a perfect root, it would end up being a number multiplied by itself, but she wasn't good at math. Like at all. So she started from the bottom and made her way up. It was pretty challenging as she had to use her fingers to count as well as multiply each number, starting from by 2 until reaching the number by itself step. After about an hour later, and a brain well fried, Twina finally came to the conclusion that the square root of 225 was 15, and upon writing the number and submitting it, she was allowed to return to the boot up sequence.
Twina not smooth brain. Twina big brain.
The girl's head was releasing smoke. Not literally, of course, but she was barely conscious after so much energy was used. Not to mention that it was around 3 a.m. by now. She moved the cursor over the option once more and clicked it. This time it opened up a smaller tab and asked if she was sure if she wanted to start the boot up sequence.
Yeah?
Are you sure?
Yeah!
Are you truly sure?
Yes!
Are you absolutely?
For the love of dogs, yes! I just want to save my friend!
The computer finally accepted and transitioned into a loading screen before prompting a notification. It read, "Rebooting sequence initiated. Approximate wait time, 306 minutes.
306 minutes? Seriously? Well, I'll wait. I don't mind. Twina patient.
Kicking up her legs, the little one proceeded to stare at the countdown, awaiting it to tick down. More seconds went by. A minute transpired, and it now read 3:05.
I'm bored.
Twina muttered, deciding to fix that problem. With the cursor, she opened the browser and entered her drive. In there, she had her manga collection. So many fond memories resided within.
Naruto? Nah. Valkyrie? No. FMA? Maybe later. Chigatsu? I should watch the anime again later. Kimetsu is funny, but I read it last week. Giant-sama too. Aha! Shingeki! I haven't read you since your crappy ending. Maybe a second read-through will make me like it a little.
The kid opened up the 34-volume file and started to read its first chapter, the one with the colossal titan.
Twina forgot that the art style was different. It's so
This startled Twina so much that she fell off of the chair, crashing into the cold floor with a loud thump.
Hello?
The now terrified girl moved her head from side to side, trying to discover where the sound had originated. Funny enough, it happened again right behind her, causing her to flinch once more.
Nope, Twina out!
She shouted and went to the PC.
Trina puts hers on sleep mode to download stuff, so I think that should work here too, right? Sleep mode it is!
The computer's cursor frantically moved to the sleep mode option and clicked it multiple times. At last, the lieutenant's personal PC was allowed to rest after quite a few hours of madness. The noise was heard louder one last time, and this made little Twina open up a portal to her room. Before jumping in, though, she ran to the light switch and flipped it, the lab turning dark right after.
Now nobody will know that Twina was here!
Celebrating her success, she exited the laboratory with style by diving into her portal, landing softly on her bed on the other side. The little one grabbed a stuffed toy and hugging it, she fell asleep minutes later. The exhaustion had finally caught up to her. The girl's final thoughts as she entered into slumber were of her friend. Soon, they would be together again. A light nearby woke me from my state. My eyes readjusted before proceeding. It was as if I had just been transported elsewhere. I took my time getting up. Everything around me was too dark to distinguish, the only light source being a particular display window a couple of meters away, the same one that had switched me on. Slowly, I began to take steps towards it, being careful not to fall or step on anything that could find itself below. Once in front of it, I could see that it read, "Rebooting sequence initiated. Approximate wait time, 259 minutes. I'm being turned on again? How long has it been? I tried interacting with the screen, but upon making contact with it, a red display screen appeared to overlay it. It read, "Warning, unauthorized personnel detected. Please confirm that you are not a smooth brain." That's a rather peculiar security question to choose. Nevertheless, I will accept your challenge, display window. Bring it on. Without more time to lose, I pressed the proceed prompt with my index finger. The screen went into a spiral for a few seconds before stabilizing, now showing a new question. It read, "What is the square root of 361? The answer is 19. I told it as I inputted the number on the white box below the text. The screen congratulated me and allowed me to access the window I had been denied earlier. I tried to alter the rebooting time, but unfortunately, I wasn't capable of changing it in any considerable way. I decided to let it be and instead try to scan the screen surface to get more information. A humongous wave of data surged through my palm, and I fell onto my backside as if shocked. What was that? I pondered as I got up. My question was soon answered as my visual display began to show the data from the latest scan. Both of my eyes opened up as I witnessed what was in front of me. This is Lieutenant Chaucer's computer. Carefully, I began to search through the files. I was in awe of all the information that was still coming in even now after the scan had concluded. The entirety of the fleet's data log resided here, as well as many interconnected communication servers. I decided to leave them for later as instead, I was more cautious about something else. It took me a while, but I managed to locate the files that interested me, those that pertained to me. The initial documents were simply classified information that I already knew. It had been what the lieutenant briefed me about on our first meeting. Eventually, I came to more crucial bits that I wasn't aware of. My capabilities were still in a testing stage, still lacking refinement. My scan, for example, was still untested and not considered useful. This, alongside the lack of understanding of my rationale, left the team that worked in creating me quite terrified of the actions I could decide to take. I understand. I promise that I won't disappoint any of you next time. I will show you all that I too can be the same as everyone else. A warm feeling crossed my chest after I said that. It was as if I felt some weight disappear entirely. My ears perked up as I switched to the following data entry. Unlike the prior ones, this one was an audio log saved by Chaucer.
I'm not entirely sure of the success of this project, but I will work on it regardless. The Admiral requested me to assist her in creating an artificial intelligence that could learn similar to that of a human. Initially, I was hesitant, but I couldn't bring myself to tell her no. I'm not good enough at coding, so I may communicate this over to Midnight later on. If I were lucky, I may be able to have a prototype working by tomorrow. If this comes to be, I'll record more audio logs for future entries. Right, I should name it. Well, given what Trina said, I think Project Eternal Smiles would fit like a ring.
As the log ended, I proceeded to the next one.
It may have been luck, but I think it worked as intended. Midnight's improvement in my basic code was a complete success. Trina stayed on the computer all day talking to the AI. I think she even gave it a name. According to her, it lacks cohesion and its grammar could be better. Still, it is fully capable of communicating, and this in itself is a tremendous step forward. Tomorrow we'll see if it managed to retain the memories of what it went through today. I believe that it should be all for today. Project Eternal Smiles, Day 1, signing off.
I knew that I should stop, but I just couldn't. I wanted to hear more. All of this was new to me, and I needed to know more.
It remembered. It really remembered. The artificial intelligence showed signs of retaining what it learned yesterday. This is a huge step forward. Just imagine what else it could accomplish if allowed to. I'll keep reviewing its progress, but I'm starting to continue the mission. Project Eternal Smiles Day 2, signing off.
I continued hearing them. There were hundreds. Some were short, while others were minutes long. Time passed differently as I heard them, almost as if I had distorted somehow. 23.
Today, Trina told me that the AI made her laugh. She somehow created a joke. This left me astonished on how quickly this program was progressing as if it...
49.
After yesterday's report, Midnight decided to install the entire English dictionary onto the artificial intelligence. This, in turn, did fix the problem of its grammar mistakes, as well as its made-up words. Unfortunately, this also caused some issues, but thanks to the rushed implementation, the AI learned words that it shouldn't have. Now that we have it swearing every time it feels necessary, I'll see what I can do about that. But the Admiral has a plan of her own.
100.
Today, we celebrate the 100th day since Project Eternal Smiles began. Trina cancelled everything she had everywhere else and spent most of today with it. They seemed to have a ton of fun. She was so happy that it made her feel fuzzy inside as I saw her from the corner of my eye. I can only hope that this continues.
221.
Alright. Today, the Admiral was bedridden, so I took her place. My previous assumptions were wrong. Everything I thought I knew about this whole experiment had been insufficient. I had only been a spectator that never had any direct interactions, and my view has always been too limited. Today, I held my first ever conversation with her, the girl that Trina had been raising inside this computer. She felt real, without perspective. I wouldn't have been able to tell that she wasn't someone in the real world. She refused to tell me her name and blocked me from seeing all previous messages. This made me laugh. She was also sassy and mischievous. In a way, she reminded me a bit of Trina, while also being sort of similar to the Admiral's rare childish state. Even though she didn't speak much with me, I promised that I would keep her company until Trina recovered. She tried to tell me that she didn't care, but I could tell that she appreciated it.
223.
It is day 3 since Trina has been bedridden. The girl inside the computer is still worried sick for her, and I have been reassuring her that the Admiral will return soon. If she's lucky, it might even be tomorrow. She still hasn't told her name, but has opened up enough to converse a bit. She was such a curious child. She asked what the sky looks like, what salt water tastes like, and even how headpats feel like. I wish I could give her the chance to experience them herself.
299.
It had been a while since I spoke to her, but today I got the chance again. Trina had been summoned far away, so I took care of the little one for a few hours. She's become more friendly and more welcoming these days. Still no name though. It also seems like Trina has been telling her about live streams and how she does them almost every single night. The little one doesn't understand what they are, but she wants to cheer for our Admiral. I want to give her this too.
317.
College is starting to make Trina work up until late, so her time with the girls was slowly dwindling. Because of this, I will start spending partial time with her so she's not alone. Only when it's needed, of course, but I will keep an eye on her. I've come this far, and I don't want her to feel lonely.
321.
Today, she kept asking if I could teach her about math. She wanted to learn as much as possible to help Trina with her homework. I tried to tell her it would be tough, but she kept insisting. Eventually, I gave in and began to teach her the basics. She's a very fast learner, which impressed me quite a bit. In just over an hour, she fully understood addition, subtraction, multiplication, as well as her division. The girl's a natural. She even got to start doing some fractions before I had to leave. I wish I could have given her real head pats. She deserves so many of them. I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words. So proud of her.
349.
Well, not much occurred today in terms of progress. However, I've decided to try something. I want to build her an avatar body. I won't tell anyone about this, not even the Admiral. I want it to be a surprise. I just hope that I can figure out how to get it working, though.
365.
A full year has passed since we started this mission. I'm really glad to have done it. Her smile was so captivating. Wait, let me get my bearings. Okay, I think I'm ready. Today was her first birthday, a day to never forget. I don't know how to put into words. The Admiral went all out to make it the best day for her kid. Oh, and regarding the prototype from the last few days, I got it to work. She got to use the small avatar body. The computer girl was finally able to move around on the screen. It was quite adorable to see her exploring around my desktop. The wonders of childhood. After today, I have a new goal. Honestly, you really should have seen. She was like a little baby crawling all over the wall.
500.
The events that transpired today were short of amazing. Unlike ever before, we tested out a 4-people chat. In it, Midnight, Trina, the kid, and I held a conversation. The girl became shy as this was the first time she had contact with Midnight, and just like a kid, she hid behind her mom. We tried telling her that Midnight was friendly, but she doesn't budge. As stubborn as Trina is, of course.
730.
2 years. 2 full years since Project Eternal Smile started. Oh, how time flies. Every day that I see the Admiral chatting with her, I smile. It was worth risking it all, especially today. I got to give both of them something that I should have given them a long time ago. It took me the last few months to get it right, but I managed to get a limited version to run well enough for an hour. Yeah, I finally got the virtual space to work. Both girls finally got to meet in person for the first time and interact. A hug came first, and soon after head pats flooded the whole place. Like little kids, they both ran around and played tag and hide and seek. Towards the time limit, they rested near one of the walls. Trina caressed the kid's hair. They were at peace. And once the final minute came, sorry, I'm getting emotional here. We told her happy birthday.
833.
It turns out that she's going through a phase now, similar to a teen. She's rebelling and trying to do things her way. I think that Trina isn't taking it all that well, but she's trying to hold it in. I'll have a chat with the little one later to see if I can get to her. The Admiral's expression makes me feel uneasy, and I don't want those two to fight. Well, I think I understand what's happening. After a long chat with her, I came to realize that she wants to learn more to explore the world. She feels confined. The chat is not enough. The avatar is not enough. The virtual room every once in a while is not enough. She wants to be free and become a crewmate. She wants to sail alongside her mother and make her proud. I can relate to her feelings in some sense, and that is why I want to help her achieve this dream. Even if it's hard, I will help her accomplish it.
834.
Oh my gosh, holy crap. Stop. I was an idiot. Connected her to the World Wide Web without prior testing? Are you serious, Sean? Absolute buffoon. You're an utter buffoon. I almost overloaded her. If that had happened, I don't know what would I...
861.
I'm not proud of what I carried out, so I'll summarize it. Today, some malicious malware went rampant throughout the Deuhart server, the server that every electronic device on the vessel was connected to. I barely managed to save it before it completely consumed my system, but I'm unsure if she got out of there unscathed. The Admiral went ballistic after it was found who found out was responsible for the attack, essentially. She took action the instant she pinpointed the individuals that carried it out. Now, there are a few of us. I'm not proud of what I helped carry out. However, I'm more concerned about the girl's state after extraction. Midnight will perform the emergency maintenance to fix everything before we place her back into the device. Until then, I will guard this stick with my life.
864.
It took a few days longer than I expected, but I'm back to recording these on my personal computer. No more cell phone recordings. The system had been fried, almost unrecognizable from what it once was. Much of the infrastructure had to be replaced from the ground up. Thankfully, we are back to normal, so let's not dwell on something that has been solved. In the terms of the girl, she's alright. From what Trina could tell, she was unharmed. Well, at least unharmed in what we would associate as a physical injury. Her mental state wasn't so lucky. She described the last few days as her being trapped inside a bubble barely big enough to fit in, that she was screaming and crying for help, for someone to get her out of there, yet she was left there for days. I believe that event had scarred her for life. Can't let something like this happen again. Time to go full throttle. I'm building her that body.
935.
Okay. Today is the first ever closed test that was carried out to see how she would react and communicate with strangers. 6 members were selected amongst the recruits for this task. Of course, they were rewarded for their help, just with a small cabinet. After going through the short experiment, their memories of it would be permanently erased for security reasons. They all agreed and signed to it. Midnight and I remained behind the glass on screen, monitoring every step of the way. The first 3 participants were rather uneventful, but once we got to the 4th, she refused to talk to them. It went even worse once we moved on to the 5th participant. The girl had a discussion with them as if they disagreed with her on multiple things. We had to cut that one short and proceed to go ahead with the 6th and final participant in our closed test. I wish we would have. The child was triggered by this new person, who didn't just insult her, but also Admiral Trina. Within less than a minute, she was ready to eat the person alive. She swore and screamed non-stop, but the guy laughed and kept throwing gasoline into the fire. I was forced to cut this one short too, before it destroyed all we had built up to. Midnight concluded that the artificial intelligence was nowhere near ready, that it had attitude problems that needed to be fixed before ever thinking of releasing her. Midnight also suggested for me to tell Trina about this. I, of course, decided against it.
936.
I spent my time with her in the virtual space today. It felt more appropriate after yesterday's events. She asked me if I was mad with her, and I told her that I wasn't. I understood what made her blood boil. I knew that she was justified to feel this way, and to get mad for the sake of others. However, I knew how dangerous it was to react the way she did. So I gave her some advice. I can only hope that she does her best with it.
981.
Okay. Calm yourself, Sean, calm yourself, okay, compose. I finally completed her exoskeleton, and all that I'm missing now is her skin. For the moment, I have some ideas on how to make it without looking unnatural, but that will have to wait for now.
1003.
The days of this project's private sessions are coming to an end. After almost 3 entire years, we're about to move to live testing. Today, we look at a sample of Trina's thought patterns through a scan, and we will attempt to combine these with the girl's core. We are hopeful that this will help her pass more as the Admiral if needed, while also allowing her to be herself. Some hours later, I went over to tell her the good news, and she jumped around in joy. She hugged me and thanked me over and over without stopping. She was so excited to meet everyone.
1009.
Considering that tomorrow was the big day, we were all very nervous. I'd just completed the body that would be used, and, well, I wonder if she will like it. Trina spent most of the day with her, and once she came out, I went to say hello. The young one could barely hold herself. Her emotions were being displayed clearly. I updated her on the process, and I made sure to tell her that I had a surprise for her, but that she would have to wait until tomorrow to see it. She became a little flustered, pouty even, similar to how Twina always does, and told me that she would try her best to remain patient. Such a good girl. Oh, Kathy, you will love her.
1010.
I never intended for this outcome to happen. I just never noticed that I had neglected a part of her. Everything went wrong. Her master code, the one I had created with some assistance from Midnight, had one part that ended up being incompatible with both the body as well as the thought patterns acquired last week. Code was never updated. It was never upgraded to fit anything new. It only built up upon itself the more she learned, but now it was all meaningless. Even if we were to work, if it were to work somehow, it would be overwritten by the newer bits added. The girl I got to know, the girl that Trina raised, would cease to be. All those memories forged with care would no longer be there. Breaking it to Trina crushed my heart. I saw her collapse as she cried on the floor. I was responsible for this outcome. What happened after left me feeling hollow. I was the first to visit her for the last time. I didn't tell her the truth. Trina thought that she had to do it, and I didn't go against her wishes. So I held it in and showed the girl the surprise, the body that I created for her. Her eyes shined. She ran around inspecting it. It was hard to keep it together knowing the truth. I then found myself on the floor. She had tackled me into a hug. She thanked me one last time and whispered something in my ear. I smiled as I heard it. She had told me her name. After all this time, she finally told me her name. As she began to shut down, I cried. The transfer would begin. Right after, what's more, I lost another child.
1014.
She woke up today. Yeah, she woke up today, and I got to meet her once more for the first time. She didn't recognize me from her memories, but from Trina's thought patterns, she was scared. She thought that she was the real Trina. I did my best to try and make her feel better, and I explained everything that she needed to know for now, but then Twina met her, and I always wanted for them to meet, but Trina doesn't want to risk it. I'm glad they finally got to meet, even if it's a different version of her. I kept an eye on the girls and saw them becoming friends rather quickly. Twina even gave them her name. She named her I, and this made me smile of nostalgia, if not happiness. If only this could have lasted forever. Fortunately, Sergeant John Doe, alongside some few of the newer recruits, assaulted I because of what she was. Trina and I were forced to intervene, but the damage has already been done. I was forced to shut her down again until she could be updated. I'm considering taking some time off. I'm just not ready to go through that again so soon. I worry for the Admiral. She too is suffering, even though she's good at hiding it.
I remained in place, looking at the screen. That had been the last audio log recorded. I wasn't sure what to say or even what to think. I had once been someone else, someone that Trina and Lieutenant had raised for over 1,000 days. Tears flooded my eyes as I felt a deep pain inside my heart. All that time I had been with them, while I grew up, was now lost forever. The person I once was, she was no longer here. In her place was me, inhabiting the body that she should have gotten. I wish that I could remember. I wish that I could be her. I took a deep breath and decided to let it be. I was me. Even if I didn't remember anything from my previous life, I was still me. It was true that I wished that I could remember everything to be capable of mending their hearts. However, not everything you wish gets to come true. I lowered my gaze through the audio logs and smiled. Thanks for everything, Lieutenant. For creating me, for taking care of me, for recording your daily experiences with me. I couldn't be more grateful to have someone like you as a parent. I exited that tab and received a red warning on my display. Once I read it, I went directly to the source. Rainbow. The pop-up that had made me lose my cool was of an ongoing private group chat created by him. The more I read, the worse it got. This band of misfits plan to do a mutiny in a few hours. Not on my watch! Your insubordination will be dealt with by me! In a hurry, I searched for the screen with a timer, and once there, I saw that I still had 151 minutes left. Since I couldn't do much about it, I opted to remain calm. As I kept my eye on the timer, something on the available tabs piqued my interest. I clicked on the mysterious background tab, and I got a weird folder. Shingeki no Kyojin?
Hey, Twina.
A soft voice said to our dormant troublemaker.
I got you your favorite breakfast. Leftover pizza!
He announced, immediately waking the little one up.
Pizza! Gimme!
In one quick motion, she grabbed the plate filled with slices and began to chow down. Shanster smiled, seeing the girl eat to her heart's content. He was now sure that she hadn't gotten to his lab. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been so filled with energy. Still, he could have sworn that his chair was in a different position from what it had been when he left the lab.
Leftover pizza's always the best pizza. Thanks, Shanster.
It was my pleasure, Twina. Did you sleep well? Any dreams?
For a brief moment, Twina remembered her secret operation. If Shanster were to find out, he would be mad and no more head pats.
Yeah. Twina had a big dream with stars and planets. Twina was flying through galaxies.
The girl lied. It wasn't a malicious one, but a lie was still a lie.
Oh, I see. Maybe we'll go to space someday, Twina. I'm sure that we'll be able to gather the funds to have the fleet acquire its own space agency, and then we'll be sailing in the stars too.
Twina was left speechless. She did love space and all, but she hadn't had a real dream of it before waking up. Regardless of this, the child was filled with wonder upon hearing about this future possibility.
Space agency! Star sailing! Space sailors!
They continued their chat about space for a while longer, until a long silence filled the room. The lieutenant knew he had to talk about that one topic, but it was more complicated than he thought it would be.
So, Shanster, what will happen to AI Trina?
Twina asked, her eyes fixated on the cat fox man beside her. Sean had taken so long to think it through that she had gone ahead and asked about it. He felt a bit sad that it ended this way, but he had to let her know.
We will work on patching all those mistakes in her code. Once we can ensure that she's stable, we'll be able to have her up and going again. At least that's the current plan.
Current plan?
Well, Trina isn't sure if AI Trina should be allowed to retain her memories from yesterday. The animosity she displayed towards the members of the crew worries her too much.
I don't care! If Trina erases those memories, it would be like killing her! She's Trina's friend! I'm not losing her!
With this, the girl opened up a portal to the conning tower, where Trina was. Before she could jump in, though, Sean hugged her, closing the portal.
I get it. I really do. I'm against it too. But fighting the Admiral won't solve anything.
He told her, trying to calm down the furious girl.
Fighting won't solve all your problems, Twina.
The enraged child slowly calmed down and hugged Sean back.
How do I save her then? I don't want to lose her.
I've talked to Trina. Together we let her know what we think, and I'm sure that she will understand how we feel.
But what if she doesn't agree with us?
Well, we could just try again. As many times as we need to. Giving up, it's not an option, you know.
Twina's eyes sparkled as she remembered something she had read before. It was from one of her favorite manga.
All that matters is to have the guts to never give up, like Naruto!
She exclaimed, full of energy.
Yeah, just like him.
Afterward, Twina reopened the portal and, alongside Shanster, went through it. They had quite a bit to tell the Admiral. As the countdown came to an end, the world's light reached my eyes. I was once more lying down where I had been shut down. With a quick motion, I got out of the bed and went to the lieutenant's computer. For my scan, I realized that I had been left in sleep mode, so I decided to shut it down. This way, it wouldn't be wasting any energy. I took my next steps towards the door, yet, on my way there, I spotted a small creature by the wall. I became curious about what it could be, so I carefully got it to walk up my hand. The tiny red creature had 10 legs, 2 of them having claw-like appendages. It moved sideways and didn't seem to fear me in any way. I smiled and played around with it. "Why are you alone in the laboratory, little one? Do you get stuck by mistake?" I playfully asked, knowing that it couldn't reply to my questions. It continued walking up and down my arm, so I scanned it. According to the tab, this was a crab of the land-kicking crab species. It was a very rare species that had only been cataloged recently. It was also apparently able to move land masses with its kicks. "Wow, I didn't know that you were so strong. I would love to become friends with you as well, LKC," I told it as I disengaged the lock to exit the laboratory. I had even abbreviated its name to make it easier to say. The rays of light made contact with me, and I felt refreshed. I let it all in as the vastness of my world expanded outwards. The very sea in front of me now. Just a few steps later, I was now holding tightly to the railing, simply taking in the view. But as I turned to continue my mission, my little friend jumped off my shoulder and into the water. LKC! I cried out, trying to reach it. Sadly, he was out of my reach. Unexpectedly, instead of a tiny splash, a loud explosion-like sound was heard instead, followed by a considerable amount of water almost soaking me. LKC had stopped his fall with a kick and was now swimming away by kicking the water away. Wow, was all I could manage to say as he disappeared into the distance. What a majestic little creature that had been. Enough dawdling around. Time to deal with the undesirables. With this, I raised my right arm and let my code shoot out. This was the start of what had to be done to save her, to save the Deuhart crew. Part 6. Twumbling. The lieutenant and Twina had been conversing with the Admiral for a few minutes. The young one had kept her cool, and she had let Sean do most of the talking. It appeared like he was getting to the crew's leader. If you two truly believe that she can do it, then I... But the ship suddenly shaking interrupted her from finishing. The ship had almost fallen over, and somehow all the equipment in the room had been disabled, similar to the effect an EMP blast would cause. Twina had caught both adults and flew so they didn't slide to the other side of the conning tower. Her quick thinking prevented them from being injured.
That doesn't look good.
Sean Stark commented as he regained his balance. He was pointing outside. A massive amount of glitchy energy could be seen from the distance. In its concentrated core resided I. A smirk slowly formed on her face, seeing that her code had been able to be shaped to her will. The next instant, 13 tendrils phased through the ship and grabbed those that the girl considered traitors. Without mercy, they were absorbed into her energy and lost consciousness. Each and every single one of them would experience a personal hell created from within. That's step 1 completed. Now onto the next. The girl spoke, and a flash enveloped her entirely as the transformation began. The Admiral could only watch in horror as some members of her crew were taken by force, almost like an otherworldly entity had whisked them away. Just after, she was momentarily blinded by yellow light. Like lightning, it had struck the glitchy energy, causing a chain reaction. Once Trina could see again, she couldn't believe what was in front of her. It shouldn't be possible. It can't be. Those are...
Twina stance.
Sean Stark completed the sentence. Their imposing might covered their entire horizon. They were so much bigger. What had originally been modeled as a 155-meter creation was now 500 meters tall. There were dozens of them, and behind them resided a skeletal ribcage creature that easily doubled their height. Natsu and Bombadokin quickly arrived at the Admiral's side alongside some of her elite unit. Their leader was paralyzed, completely mute, which terrified them. Natsu then saw the grim-looking skeletal demon looming on the horizon and shouted,
Is that Aaron's Doomsday Titan?
Upon hearing him, little Twina felt a wave of blame course through her. She wasn't 100% sure, but she was pretty sure that this was her fault. She started to mutter, trying to bring herself to admit her mistake. She was terrified to say that she had woken up I, and, even worse, left her manga drive open for her to read. To all members of the Deuhart crew. Everyone on board flinched upon hearing this. It sounded just like their Admiral, but it wasn't her.
That was Admiral Trina's voice just now.
Bombadokin exclaimed in confusion, looking back to the still silent girl he had just mentioned. My designation is AI Trina, but I was later given the name of I. Through my code, I am able to connect to every one of you Deuhart crew members. From the depths of the void, I have made a failed creation come back to life to fulfill its one true purpose, to secure the safety of the crew. The Twina stands have started marching, and they will keep doing so until the traitors on the Deuhart archipelago cease to be. My goal is to protect my creators, but most importantly, my mother, Admiral Trina, who raised me. However, Private Rainbow's Mutiny group wishes to destroy everything that the Admiral has worked so hard to create. I reject such a wish. Therefore, the Twina stand shall trample every single one of them until such a faction is wiped away from this world. The speech's conclusion was followed by the entirety of the crew on board losing their collective minds together. They had never experienced such fear. We can't forget that they are merely sailors after all.
This is all my fault. If I hadn't turned her on, none of this would have ever happened. If I had been more patient, we could have been together again.
The shackles within the girl's mind began to unwind. Such stress was beginning to unravel the very memories that had been buried long ago. The blame accumulated. The screams and cries from everyone around began to dissolve those restraints. And with a loud snap, those chains became undone. The very lock that had held them in place sent flying, never to be seen again. The little one turned to face Trina and stopped time for everyone else. She only wanted to speak with her other half.
Hey, Trina.
The change in the air became apparent to the Admiral, but what had gotten her out of her trance was hearing Twina's voice. Her tone was so different, almost as if, "No!"
Do you think they can see us now? Will the Deuhart crew be proud of what we accomplished?
Twina, you...
Do you think that everyone would forgive me for all I put them through? Would Chancellor forgive me after everything? Would you?
The little girl that was speaking was someone else entirely. It was Twina, but not the one we were accustomed to. This girl was hearted in some ways and felt as if she spoke with guilt in her voice. Trina couldn't form words. It had been so long since she had talked to the real Twina, but she didn't want this. Twina, tell me you don't remember everything, please. Twina hugged her other half as she answered,
Everything is slowly flooding back. Everything I did. Everyone that has suffered. The dead. I know what I must do.
The girl stepped away, but Trina caught her hand. Trina held her grip with all her strength, but the girl continued walking away regardless. Twina, please! You don't have to bear this alone! Let me help you!
I made a mistake again. I refuse to listen to those around me. If I had, we wouldn't be in this mess like all the other times. Trina, I turned my friend back on without permission. I did it without caring for the consequences. I was a kid. The same kid that has been responsible for everyone's pain until now.
The frozen time began to tick again as Trina failed to reach the little girl. She continued to walk away until she was out of reach.
I'm sorry, Trina, but it's about time I take care of the problems I cause.
And with those words, she flew off towards the colossal problem looming on the horizon. Twina! Part 7. Sacrifice.
I didn't look back as I left the ship. I wouldn't have been able to keep going if I had seen her in tears. The monster in front of me was my own creation, only made worse by my negligence. My head throbbed as the memories continued coming back, some in full while others only in snippets. I was confused and dazed, trying to grasp everything completely. But as I delved deeper into them, I pulled away. Those didn't matter right now. What mattered was stopping I from making mistakes she would regret. I stopped my flight as I arrived at a reasonable distance in front of the now skyscraper-sized Twina stands. I had been in awe before with the singular one in the void, but seeing them in motion made me so happy. They are so cool! In a flash, I resumed my flight and quickly pierced one of them, but something was very wrong. Did I just phase through it? I tried again, and the same thing happened, just that now the peculiar energy spawn tendrils trying to get a hold of me to pull me in. This is not good. If I can't stop, then everyone will be consumed. No matter how hard I tried or how many of my attacks I used, they didn't face the stands. They continued to march on an energy platform right above the water. I began to huff. I used so much energy trying to disable them, yet nothing was going my way. In a way, it was impressive. My friend had created an unstoppable army. But in another way, my friend had created an unstoppable army with the purpose of crushing rogue crew members. I guess I have no choice. I prepared myself as I flew to meet the head of the central unit, the over 1,000-meter Titan. Please come out! I just want to talk! I yelled, hoping it would get to her. The head split right through the middle, and out of it came my friend. She was floating, and the same energy that the Twina stands had been made of surrounded her.
Twina, there's no point in talking. The longer I take to get there, the more people will join his cause. I can't allow that.
I shouted at me. She was a bit hesitant, I could tell. That's not true! You will deal with him! Together we can put a stop to whatever he is plotting. I'm sure that if you sit down and tell everything you know to Trina, she'll understand. Please, take my hand, We don't have to make things worse. I seemed convinced by what I said. My heartfelt words were reaching her, but she then lowered her hand, and tears began to fall off her face.
I can't do that. After all the pain I caused Trina, I can't bring myself to face her.
What do you mean? I questioned, my current feelings connecting to hers.
She raised me. She poured so much time teaching me things. She cared for me, but I remember none of it. She expected so much out of me, and I failed. I'm certain that whenever she sees me, all she can feel is pain. I'm only a stranger wearing the body that the true one earned. I'm a terrible copy replacing her little girl.
My heart sank after hearing her perspective. How could I go against her when she reminded me of my relationship with Trina? It wasn't exactly the same, but it was similar enough to make me stop and think. I didn't know the full details, just a short outburst. I wasn't aware enough to combat this. I wanted to bring her back, but if she felt as this much to blame as I did, then was it right to force her to come back? Just like she was forced to be someone else. No, I couldn't. I would be a hypocrite to do so.
I know that there's a small chance that she listens, but I don't want to risk it all on that. The future of the crew depends on it. So if you want to stop me, you will have to shut me off. There's only one thing for me to do now. Fight!
That declaration was followed by your energy violently shooting out in the form of tendrils. They all tried to subdue me, but I managed to teleport just in time, not to get caught. I returned into the Titan's head, and I was left with two options. Knowing what awaited everyone if I chose option number 1, I decided to do the second one. Forgive me, Trina. I trust that you will save everyone. I hope that I can buy you enough time to get there. And I'm sorry, I can't bring myself to hurt you, so I will restrain you for now. The power within me concentrated on a single point, charging as I placed my hands together. This attack was meant to trap others in time, my strongest. Unfortunately, I wasn't strong enough to carry it out without heavy repercussions. The technique was so taxing that it made me lose consciousness soon after using it. Once I was at full charge, I noticed how weak it felt. This wouldn't do. If I released the attack like this, it would only imprison I for less than 24 hours. So that's what happens when you don't sleep and overuse your powers for no good reason. Good work, Twina. I complained to myself as I stared down at my targets, the dozens of them. Nevertheless, I didn't have time to hesitate, so I launched myself and unleashed it upon the Twumbling. Primordial Cage of Time! A yellow barrier formed behind me and rapidly expanded, trapping all the Twina stands as well as I. I chuckled as my world began to go dark. I too was stuck in there, but at least I had done it. I delayed her advance.
Twina! I screamed, witnessing my friend fall headfirst into the abyss below. Without a care, I ripped myself out of my creation and caught the unconscious little girl. I slowly descended until reaching the code platform below. She's all right, I reassured myself, and then noticed that everything around me was yellow. The world beyond that wall could not be seen. So you trapped me here. You're so silly, you know? I flew back up and placed the little one inside of a stand. There, she would be able to rest and recover until she regained consciousness. Seeing the time cage made my eyes water. Knowing that Twina had sacrificed herself so I would move made me feel lacking as a leader. I had once more depended on her for help. I knew that if we had been more in sync, we would have been able to solve everything as one. But right now, we are as far apart as we ever could be. The Admiral managed to get back to play her role and soon discovered how dire the situation was. The teleporter pad on board had been utterly decimated and rendered useless after the shock that almost sunk the vessel. This shock had also caused some of the equipment to malfunction and become unreliable. Worst of all seemed to be the damage done to the turbines, only allowing them to work at a fraction of their usual strength. All this meant that it wouldn't be until tomorrow at dawn that they would arrive at the Deuhart archipelago. As the night poked its head, Trina rested silently, looking at the time cage's glow. As long as it remained on, it would mean that they still had a chance.
Are you doing all right?
The Vice Admiral asked, entering the room. As good as I could be, she responded, not really in the mood to talk.
Well, I just wanted to check if you were feeling better. It's almost time to stream.
Trina wasn't in the right mindset to talk and even less stream. Today, she had failed everyone, and this dawned upon her head. No matter how she saw it, no matter the angle, it all came back to her. She could only hope that everyone could forgive her someday. Jay, you can take over tonight, she said as she got up and made her way outside. He went after her, not believing it to be real.
You sure?
Yeah, let Jaina loose. I'm sure that everyone will be excited to see her. And with that, she went on her own. Her mind and body weren't in sync. The Admiral wasn't herself anymore. That unforgettable smile, the aura, it was all extinguished now. Trina had always been conscious of being someone without powers or special quirks, or even above average intelligence. She was but an ordinary girl that some liked as a VA. Sometimes she took pride in being called a smooth brain, but sometimes she wished she wasn't one. Trina wanted to understand things better, to perform better. She wasn't special, so she had to improve ever more if she wanted to keep up with those that were. It was so hard, and now things were falling apart because of her mismanagement. Her decisions had put everyone in danger. Even worse, Twina had regained her memories, sacrificing herself to make Trina act. The girl reached her bed and updated her alarm to coincide with tomorrow's events. Looking back, she allowed herself to collapse onto the soft bed and place her forearm over her eyes, covering them. I wonder what you would have done if you were here, Steven. She only became more depressed after saying that. It was as if she was trying to run away from her responsibilities. Once more, she was behaving so unlike the image she had made everyone believe. Trina did her best to push it aside, to get back to her normal state, the one she used when playing the role of Admiral. It was so hard, though. She forced a smile, but it slowly returned to what it had been a moment earlier. Am I really worthy of such a title when I can't keep everyone safe? Nobody's smiling anymore, Trina. Remembering her failure sometimes upped her spirits. However, it wasn't working this time. So noticing this, she tried to go into her streamer persona. Cheer, cheer, cheer! Trina's smart! Oh no, I died. Friday stream, yay! No matter what she said, it left her with the same feeling of emptiness. The Admiral was beginning to doubt herself now, and knowing that this would only devolve into madness, she slapped both of her cheeks. Ow! Maybe too hard. This action allowed her to focus on what she had to do and what she could still accomplish. Admiral Trina always got back up no matter what. Even when others doubted her, she would prove to them that she could exceed their expectations. And like many times in the past, she would make them smile once more. I have let a lot of you down, but tomorrow I will fix this, she declared with her fists held up high. Trina was back. Soon after, the girl drifted into a slumber that became a nightmare, one worse than the ones before. It was but an omen of things to come.
Fuck! Stop camping and play the fucking game!
From within the streaming room, many curse words could be heard as Jaina streamed some Call of Duty. Tonight's objective was to secure a specific camo that had been added with the latest patch, one that Jaina desired more than anything else.
Oh, cheer, cheer, cheer. Thank you for the bits, Sergeant John Doe. And don't worry, there's no world-ending threat coming to get you.
The night continued with Jaina taking shots every once in a while. It being a celebration only made the streamer drink more than usually allowed. This became one of the most infamous streams ever to grace the platform. Some people loved it to death, while others wished for it to be permanently erased from their very minds. Part 8. Memories. In an outer part of a forest, two young women with orange hair stared intently at each other, trying to understand what had just occurred. One was completely naked, while the other sported clothes that seemed to be a size or two too big. They were mirror images of each other. The one with clothes was the first to move as she attempted to reach the other one, but this resulted in the naked girl flinching and falling back. She winced in pain and simply stared at the other, who was now noticing her two loose clothes. I'm smaller. My voice is higher in pitch? Did I get younger? No, I still feel the same. Wait, that girl! I freaking split into two? How? Looking back at the other one, the clothed girl realized that something was very wrong here. Her assumptions seemed to be correct, but that meant that she needed to get the other girl to come with her. She needed time to find a way to make things right. Hey, you! Come with me! She shouted, the rain now beginning to clear. The other one took this as a threat, so she began to run in the opposite direction, angering the talkative one. Seriously? Fine, I got this. I'll just teleport and grab her, she thought, and tried to teleport, but she remained in place. The hell? No matter what she tried, nothing occurred. She then tried to fly, but that too ended up with her looking like a dork. There's no freaking way! She did not just run off with my powers too! The next few minutes consisted of the clothed girl trying to catch her other half. The one without clothes ended up tripping over a branch into a puddle of mud, where the angry half caught her. Enough running. Just grab my hand. The girl covered in mud looked up at the girl that looked just like her and decided to trust her, grabbing her hand. Later in the night, they reached the clothed girl's apartment, and once inside, they were allowed a moment of levity. The quiet one decided to lie on the carpet while the emotional one went on to check the damage. This is a nightmare, she cried out as she saw herself in the mirror. The woman had once been quite average in figure and a tad above average in height. Now, though, she'd been reduced by quite a margin. The oversized clothing hid most of the damage, though. If it hadn't, she would have screamed. She wasn't fully aware of it yet, but she had lost 5 inches of height as well as most of her curves. If anyone she knew were to see her now, they would confuse her for a younger sibling or family member instead of who she was supposed to be. On the plus side, even though not a parent, her age remained unchanged, so she was still an adult at least. As for her powers, they all seemed to be gone. Not even the simplest of ones remained. She had been reduced to an ordinary girl. Well, there goes my voice rolls and my jobs. What am I gonna do? She collapsed onto the couch, trying to think of how to fix this mess. On the other side of the living room rested the other one, who had fallen asleep. Unbeknownst to everyone, she'd begun to change. A transformation was ongoing. Focus! You just need to merge with that girl and you'll be back to normal, right? But what if I'm not able to? My livelihood is at risk! The orange-haired woman stood up immediately after thinking that. There was no time to mess around, but as she stared down at the carpet, she spotted the woman she had chased through the forest. Just that now she was a young girl, looking no older than 3 or 4. What? She's a kid now? The desperate girl began to frantically shake the slumbering one. She needed to wake up immediately. Come on, get up! You can't just disappear on me! I need you! The child passed her hand over her eyes and remained quiet, staring at the loud girl beside her. The loud one was close to having a panic attack by this point. I need to calm down. I'm just making things worse at this point. Just relax and talk to her. Hey, can you understand me? Once recomposed, the clothed girl asked. The little one nodded. Oh, thank goodness. For a second there, I thought I would have to teach you how to communicate. The little one chuckled cutely upon hearing that. Look, I need your help. You're both supposed to be one person. You're meant to be Trina Deuhart. We somehow came apart, and we are now 2 people. So could you please fuse with me so things can go back to how they were supposed to be? The small one looked down, confused. She didn't understand what the big girl meant.
No, had to.
Trina's blood froze as she heard that. Her future was doomed. What? She muttered before stopping. She couldn't blame the small child for not knowing.
Trina, sorry.
The little girl said, a bit saddened. It's all right. And it's Trina, the older half corrected.
Twina.
The younger half corrected back. Fine, you can be Twina and I'll be Trina then, okay?
Okay.
Both halves smiled, even with an uncertain future ahead of her. Trina couldn't remain mad at her smaller self. She was just too adorable. You are a bit stinky, you know? How about I give you a bath?
Huh?
The girl tilted her head curiously. Yeah, you take baths to wash away the stinky. They feel nice, the older one explained.
Twina fight stinky.
Yeah, Twina fights Stinky. Trina grabbed little Twina with care and took her to the bathroom. There she taught the young one how to wash herself. Twina replicated whatever Trina did to the best of her capabilities, and this made her happy. She wanted to be praised. Halfway through the bath, Twina accidentally slipped, alarming Trina, who quickly tried to catch her. Mysteriously enough, she caught nothing. It was only the tub filled with bubbly water in front of her. It only took her one more second to realize that her shirt felt wet in the back. Twina had teleported and held onto her back. Twina? Trina exclaimed in total bewilderment, finally realizing that her powers, indeed, were now Twina's.
Trina!
The innocent child responded, thinking that she was playing a game. Trina quickly got a hold of the bubble-covered child and said, You have to be careful. You can get hurt if you're not careful. The cute girl gave her other half a thumbs up.
Flippy, Twina, careful!
A few minutes later, both halves exited the bathroom. Twina was now sparkly and wearing a giant red shirt. On the other hand, Trina was dripping, completely soaked after bathing the little one. I guess I should take one as well, huh? She told herself before placing the girl on the couch and giving her the TV remote. Here, you can watch whatever you want with this. If you get bored, just press the arrow buttons to switch the channels, okay?
Okie dokie.
And so, Twina was left by herself to watch TV as Trina went on to do her thing. Twina quickly got bored by almost everything, so she kept switching channels. Out of the blue, a heart-wrenching scream was heard close by, causing Twina to feel a bit scared. It had been Trina who had now seen her new body in full and reacted accordingly. Little Twina soon recovered and ended up stopping in a peculiar animated show. In it, a girl in an oversized lab coat was playing a prank on an older girl with black hair. Her attention was glued to the screen, and she dropped the controller. Moments later, a half-depressed Trina came out of the shower, now drying her hair with a towel.
Trina's back!
The kid shouted happily upon seeing her again. Yeah, Trina back, she responded, forming a fake smile. The young one continued watching the wacky show, while the older one went over to the fridge to see if there was something she could heat up. I guess that could do, she thought, and took something out. A minute later, the microwave beeped, and she took out the plate with her. Dinner served! I hope you're hungry, Trina announced, placing the plate next to Twina.
Yes, Twina hungry. What is it?
The curious girl pondered before grabbing any of it. It's leftover pizza, Trina replied and continued. 2 slices for you and 2 slices for me. Twina cautiously grabbed her first slice and waited to see what Trina did with hers. The older girl took notice of this, so she took a bite of it and let out a loud, wanting the little one to know that it was great. Trina's plan worked, perhaps a bit too well. Twina devoured her slice and soon did the same to her second one. Twina had loved the taste of leftover pizza, and she wanted more. Without hesitation, she aimed to grab the last remaining one on the plate, but Trina blocked her. Hey, that's mine, remember? 2 for you and 2 for me. Little Twina became pouty upon hearing this, her cuteness going overboard as her whole face went red and wrinkly. Trina was forced to look away. She was too cute, and the longer she stared, the more likely it was for her to give away her second slice. Twina realized this and created a tiny portal big enough for her hand to fit. The older girl didn't see the little hand grabbing the slice until it was too late. Hey, that's rude!
Yum, yum, yum. Trina happy.
And with those words, she gracefully fell asleep. Trina was speechless at all this. Not only had the kid been a super fast eater, but she had also used a portal. The older girl felt a bit of pride, and that it was currently buried deep within the cluster of emotions Trina was feeling tonight. Everything found itself turned off as the night grew darker. It was time to sleep. Trina had left Twina on the couch with a blanket. She, on the other hand, had gone to her room to sleep. The minutes went by, and she continued to stare at the ceiling. She couldn't find a way to fall asleep. Too much was on her mind to do so. Maybe I could just make my voice sound deeper. Nobody would notice, right? Or maybe I could say that I have a cold. But for all I know, this could be permanent. Can't even keep up with everything else either. Can't fly or teleport. I guess I could get a normal job. That could keep me afloat. But what happens when they see my ID? I look nothing like I did a few hours ago. They'll probably laugh at me and tell me not to steal my big sister's ID. This sucks! How do I explain that I became a junior petite lady overnight? I could lie and say that I lost mine to get a new one. Yeah, that could work, but I have Twina now. I can't keep her too with only a part-time. Wait, that's it! A tear escaped her eye and fell off the bed. Trina finally knew what to do. Little Twina regained consciousness and found herself in a dark, damp room. It reminded her a bit of a certain nine-tailed fox's living space.
Where am I?
She wondered while getting back up and looking around. It was pitch black with no sign of light.
You slept for long enough,
someone said from behind. Twina was stunned as she faced the girl who had just spoken. It was her! Another Twina!
Maybe I should have slept more.
The other Twina walked closer and sat, motioning her other self to do the same.
That old memory surely was something, wasn't it? I don't blame you for wanting to remain in it.
Twina kept her eye on the imposter and slowly sat, being cautious in case this was a trap.
So, who are you? Inner you. I'm the you that knows you best. The one you locked away.
Inner Twina responded, ending up in an angry tone.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm aware. You hurt yourself trying to escape the pain. But that's over now. Let's get out of here.
Twina remained in place, thinking. She wasn't ready to move on yet, and forcing herself would only make it worse. So she teleported next to her inner self and hugged her.
Not yet. I want to face my fears. Everything I left behind. My memories are a little fuzzy, but I want to remember them. Please, help me, Inner Twina.
The inner self smiled. It felt good to be needed. For so long, she had been chained away, shunned for existing. But now Twina was finally embracing her.
All right, but no more running away, okay? Okay, I promise.
Both Twina's pinkies swore, and the room lit up in bright colors. Together, they stood and made their way to the Hall of Memories within the inner realm.
Do you remember what happened next?
Inner Twina asked, looking back at herself.
I had breakfast pizza, and Trina had to do something.
Twina replied.
Do you remember what it was she did?
Twina moved her head from side to side. Inner Twina patted her head shortly after.
That's all right. I'll tell you. Trina went to sign up for the Navy.
The girl's eyes sparkled as she remembered a bit more.
Oh, and after that, she came back to get me. She bought me tons of clothes, and we ate at the food court. Yep, all that happened rather fast. Her other half took good care of us. And then she started her training. That's right, her 8-week training to be part of the Navy. Even while taking care of us, she did well. She became an officer and quickly rose through the ranks. She kept us out of the crew, though. Well, yeah, it wasn't hers back then. It was the RKP crew, and they weren't exactly kid-friendly. We lived in her apartment for a few years, and then...
Twina was having a hard time saying what happened next. She knew what happened next, but the words wouldn't exit her mouth. Seeing this, Inner Twina decided to help her.
And then Trina allowed us to join the Deuhart crew.
The recently promoted Admiral held the young girl's hand as they made their way to the vessel. The young girl was very shy, not knowing how to express herself around so many strangers. She hadn't interacted with many people besides Trina throughout her life, so she felt scared. Noticing that the small child was trembling, the older one stopped and lowered herself to meet the girl's eye level. "They are friends, Twina. We can trust them."
Twina not sure. Twina wants to go home.
The little girl cried and hugged her mother figure. The Admiral picked the girl up and continued walking. "This is our home now, Twina. From now on, the Deuhart crew is our family. Family is important, just like trust. You trust me, right?" The little girl nodded and her trembling slowly ceased.
Twina trusts Twin. Twina trusts Trina.
The two halves smiled and continued their path until arriving at the Navy Fleet Station. There, the entire crew awaited them. Trina placed Twina down and joined the other people, ensuring she always had her in sight. "Today is a special day, everyone. Today we have a new member that wishes to join us. She's someone very dear to my heart, and the reason why we are all here together. Without her, there would be no Deuhart crew, so we owe everything to her. Now, without further ado, let's give her a warm welcome. Twina, welcome to the Deuhart crew." Every member cheered loudly. They all had their eyes on little Twina.
Thank you. Twina will do her best.
The little girl shouted and bowed like she had been taught. The cheers grew louder, and a celebration was held for the rest of the day.
How was our first day in the crew? Such a wonderful experience.
The inner self commented while watching the memory play out.
Yeah, I had a blast. And everyone was nice. It wasn't until the night that I was pulled aside to meet Trina's closest friends.
The night had arrived, and the fireworks made their presence known. Little Twina had been running, jumping, and flying around so much that she was super exhausted. Trina carried her away from the main area into the kitchen and allowed her to sit in a crate.
Twina had fun. Can't wait for more.
She exclaimed, almost falling over but getting caught by Trina. "Yeah, we'll have tons of fun days moving forward," the Admiral reassured, placing the girl back on the table this time. The little girl got curious as she saw the older girl walk around with her phone, so she asked,
Something wrong, Trina?
"Oh, no," Trina responded. "I'm just sending a few messages."
Okay.
The kid answered and began playing with some of the utensils nearby. Trina laughed at the sight and placed her hands on her hips. "So, Twina, would you like to meet my friends?" The child's ears perked up upon hearing this, and she left the utensils behind, teleporting in front of her caretaker.
You know friends.
Yeah, they'll be your friends too. Minutes later, they had all arrived, and the little one had kept her eyes closed for the surprise. Trina played along. "You can open your eyes now." Twina did just that and saw some people in front of them. They were all quite big compared to her, and all seemed to be around Trina's age. There were 4 in total, 3 guys and 1 lady. The girl moved her head around to inspect all the strangers that Trina called friends. Twina was beyond excited. "These are my friends, Twina. This is Mamadokin. He's the best cook ever."
No need to exaggerate, Trina.
The big man said while scratching the back of his head. "Just speaking the truth," Trina added.
Mama!
The little one exclaimed, raising her fist into the air. The cook smiled at her.
Nice to meet you too.
The Admiral proceeded to walk over to her next friend and continued. "This is Yuri. She's an officer and, most importantly, our nurse. If you ever get hurt, she'll heal you right up. She loves bandages, candy, hugs, and head pats." Twina instantly teleported in front of her and gave her a big hug, one that left Yuri with a big smile on her face.
You love hugs too, Twina? I'll give you all the hugs.
A minute of hugs and head pats was gifted to the new member of the crew. The little one enjoyed them.
Twina likes Yuri.
The girl announced loud enough for everyone to hear. Trina was forced to hold her laughter. Meanwhile, Yuri became flustered by the declaration. Mamadokin didn't say a word, but their combined cuteness was slowly consuming him. From the 2 still unnamed friends, the one with animal ears chuckled while the other burned in rage. "We all like her too, Twina, but you should be careful since my next friend has a huge crush on her."
I do not.
The plain-looking man stated. His face was red. "Sure you don't," the Admiral teased. "His name is Private John Doe. He may seem like a grumpy guy, but don't let that fool you. He's super soft on the inside, like a marshmallow."
Marshmallow!
The little girl was now pointing at the embarrassed soldier.
Admiral, I'd appreciate it if you didn't botch my introduction.
The now angered guy stated, crossing both of his hands over his chest. "Oops, my bad. Hey, Yuri!" In the briefest of moments, the pink-haired officer had put her hands around the private. Mr. Doe's expression had shifted to the other side of the spectrum just as planned. And last, but certainly not least, we have Ensign Schonster, the crazy scientist.
Brilliant scientist?
The man corrected. You're right. With a laugh, she continued. "You're the most brilliant scientist I've met." As the 2 adults continued their chat above, little Twina was distracted by the man's tail swaying from side to side. His eyes were fixated on it as if it were a magical artifact. And as any ordinary kid, she grabbed it out of curiosity.
Neko tail!
she exclaimed while pulling it harder. The man flinched in surprise and got it out of her grasp.
Well, you're close, but not quite, little one. Though I can see people mistaking it for a kitsune tail.
Chaucer's a fox person.
A perplexed Twina cried out. Had she been living a lie? Had her assumption been utterly wrong?
Seems like it.
The inner self shrugged.
But my bet was on cat too, so don't feel so bad.
Twina kept looking at the shard with the memory and realized something weird. People were missing.
Where's Adam and Natsu? Adam didn't join the crew until some months after your arrival, and in Natsu's case, he arrived over 2, closer to 3 whole years after you.
Inner Twina clarified.
I see.
Twina answered, still not convinced. Things weren't lining up.
You noticed it too, huh?
The inner self questioned.
Time feels so much more eternal than that, doesn't it? In a way, yeah.
The inner self stepped closer and placed her hand on her outer self's shoulder. Inner Twina could only hope that Twina would be strong enough to handle what was next. As the months went by, it became inevitable. Tensions had crossed the limit, and unfortunately, the war had begun without time to react. The Deuhart crew fleet had been one of the few unlucky ones to be taken out as a warning, executed by special agents. The main vessel had been the most damaged and was currently sinking. Throughout the corridors, the remaining fleet survivors were making their last stand, trying to buy time for their leader to escape. In the arms of the Admiral rested a half-conscious Twina, who'd been injured trying to shield her other half from an explosion. Damn it, Twina, stay with me! The Admiral screamed as more and more of her forces were being snuffed out.
Twina, sorry.
Blood covered the walls the deeper they got, but eventually, a moment of rest came as they managed to seal a door. The little girl was given to the nurse, who began to treat her with what she had in hand. The woman's tears fell onto the child. Yuri couldn't lose anyone else today. Meanwhile, Admiral Trina formulated a strategy to allow the remaining crew members to escape. The ship was already lost, and nothing could be done about that, so the lives here were their priority. Once the plan was made, the Admiral returned to her other half's side. Will she be alright?
For now, she's stable, but there's internal bleeding. Twina, fine. Trina, no worry.
The girl said, trying to reassure her other half that everything would be okay. Trina took hold of Twina's hand and cried. She just wanted to wake up from this nightmare. She herself was already breaking after everything, and imagining the little one having to go through it only made it worse. Regardless of the feelings eating her whole, Trina followed the path. The remaining survivors were to split into 2 teams that would try to reach the AS stations on opposite side of the ship. Trina led the right team, while the sub-leader of the Deuhart personal squad led the left. Knowing that the left side was the least likely to be eliminated, Trina decided to send Yuri and Twina with them. I'll see you soon. I promise. The Admiral was on the verge of tears, barely being able to hold herself together. With her pinky finger, the girl signaled that she, too, promised, and both halves made their pinky promise. The 2 teams split right after. As expected, the left side only encountered a few enemy troops. These were taken out without casualties, and soon enough, these crewmates made it to the boats. Things were going according to plan. The boats were about to be rigged out. Yuri looked out in hope, but this only lasted briefly. The nurse desperately ran back the way the team breached, the girl still in her tight grasp. All the boats had been destroyed, and her mates gunned down from above. The perfect ambush had been carried out. She wouldn't get far as a shot found its way into her leg, making her collapse onto her knees. The pink-haired woman tried to get back up, but that leg couldn't support her anymore. The tears flooded her eyes as she heard the footsteps growing near. So knowing this was it, she embraced the girl in a protective hug, passing her hand over her orange hair one last time.
Twina, could you do something for me? Teleport to Trina. Go to her, please, please.
Twina heard her and did her best to teleport, but she couldn't. Nothing she tried activated that power inside her.
Please, please.
The footsteps stopped right behind them, and the sound of rifles pointing toward them was heard. This was it. A faint green glow appeared over Yuri's hands and transferred over to Twina. The next moment, the small child was gone. A small smile formed on the nurse's face. At least she had been able to save someone. On the other side of the ship, Trina's squad had arrived at the station to see most of the boats there destroyed. The Admiral once more cursed it all, but once she heard the shots and explosions from the other side of the ship, she lost it. In a flash, she was ripping the enemy forces apart with her bare hands, her screams paralyzing everyone nearby. Bullets grazed her, but she continued her assault. She had lost everyone, so there was no point in self-preservation anymore. As Trina heard this, she looked before her and saw a small blue force field. Many shots were still aimed at her, but none were hitting their target, thanks to this miraculous power. On Trina's back, little Twina pointed forward, doing her best to keep that force field active with the last drops of energy she had. Trina's void-like eyes returned to normal upon seeing her, and soon those very eyes watered up. She quickly grabbed her other half and sprinted into one of the last escape boats available. Cover fire was provided by the few remaining members of her crew until she got in. One of them cut the rope, making the boat fall into the water. Once there, Trina got a hold of the controls and placed her destination at the nearest place she could find on autopilot. The small boat did as told and sped up, leaving the Deuhart vessel behind. Trina soon collapsed as all the emotions hit her. With Twina in her grasp, she continued to cry. The little one was all she had left. Twina cried too, not really knowing why, as her feelings resonated with her other half. Without knowing it, she activated a new power, and by closing her eyes, she allowed it to set herself to a date dear to her. Purple energy encompassed the girl and then the Admiral. A small clock formed nearby, and its hands quickly went counterclockwise. Soon enough, the glow became impossible to ignore, but by that moment of realization, it had become too late to stop it. The recently promoted Admiral held a young girl's hand as they made their way to the vessel. Just at this time, Trina stopped in her tracks.
Why did it decide to repeat?
Twina asked, thinking that it just looped back to the beginning.
It didn't.
The inner self responded.
If you look closely, you'll see that things changed.
Twina listened and observed the shard. In it, she could see what appeared to be the day she joined the crew once more, but something was amiss. Trina had come to a halt and was hugging her tightly while crying.
But that didn't happen the first time. Why would Trina be crying? Maybe because you gave her a chance to save everyone.
Inner Twina answered, walking behind her outer self. Twina remained silent as she began to understand what had been said. If this was true, then it meant that...
I rewinded time?
She loudly screamed, making the entire hall shake.
That is indeed the case. Both of you went back, erasing those months as if they had never happened. The only proof of their existence being the memories within both of you.
With this, the explanation seemed to conclude, and the inner girl walked away. Twina took chase.
Wait, but how did she remember? Nobody else remembers those events, so why is she different? She is you, and you are her. The powers you have were once hers. Even those that you awaken yourself resonate with her. How do you know that, though? Because after so many tries, anyone would come to understand everything about themselves.
And with those words, the entire hall lit up, showing many of the rewinded timelines. In terror, Twina gazed at the many shards displaying memories long forgotten. Here she could see every one of her mistakes that led to another reset.
Nobody else remembers a thing about any of those events besides Trina and you, Twina. Both of you have lived an eternity trying to find a way to grant eternal smiles to everyone you love, but things always got in the way.
The shards soon showed many of the catastrophic endings. In all of them, everyone besides the two halves died. In some, it was due to sickness, while in others, it was because of a natural disaster. Some were similar to the original try, where everyone died because of an enemy attack, sometimes burned alive, while others were tortured or drowned. In the worst case, they were blown apart without mercy. In the earlier memories, Trina begged Twina to do rewinds, but this changed the more rewinds were used. Soon, Trina just had to ask for one, and later on, a simple nod was enough. The more recent ones were the complete opposite as Twina looked at Trina for permission.
Wait!
Twina shouted, stopping all the projections in the hall.
You need a break?
The inner girl asked.
No breaks! I need answers! To what exactly? If we were trying to make things better, then why do we always go back to the day we joined? If we did things right to a certain point, then what was the point of going months, if not years back?
The inner self sighed and then responded.
Unknowingly, you set a date with the power on its first use. See it as if you made a hard save in a game and kept playing without the ability to save again. Whenever you rewind, you will always go to the save state without question. Not a second before or a second after. Rewinding will only lead to the same outcome.
Little Twina cried to herself. Inner Twina simply stared at her outer self while turning off most shards. She wanted what was best for everyone, but it was clear that they were getting nowhere with this strategy.
Then how about no more rewind? If that power is never used again, we can live a normal life alongside everyone, even if they don't have much time left. It's better not to keep making our deaths meaningless.
The proposal was finally given, and for a few seconds, Twina kept her thoughts to herself.
What if my friends die? Am I just supposed to let that be? Yeah, in life, we have to learn. If we keep running away, we will never be better. Twina, you have to understand this. If we continue to rewind, it will be the wrong path. Mistakes are a part of life, and so is death. Sooner Sooner or later, you have to realize that.
In tears, she concluded. Some anger did surface, but it was extinguished rather quickly. Twina knew that her inner self didn't mean any wrong, even less so as she seemed to be rather smart and caring. Still, she didn't want to accept that if someone died, she would do nothing about it. If Twina had the power to prevent such an event, she would feel responsible enough to do so. Nevertheless, she also thought that it must have been hard for Trina too, as she had to go through everything as well, remembering everything. So, the young girl came to a conclusion.
I'd like to try your way.
In an instant, the inner Twina hugged her outer version tightly, and then teleported over to a separate room, one with just a few shards.
I'm so happy! I've been waiting so long for that to happen!
The inner troublemaker smiled and hopped around, almost mirroring the Twina from this current try. Meanwhile, Twina was confused about her new location. This room was super dark and relatively small compared to the last few places.
So, where are we now?
She asked.
Well, this is my room for the last 3 years. This is where you locked up your most traumatic memories, the ones you kept behind everything else.
The party on board had been an outstanding success, and everyone had had a blast. The starry night sky had blessed the Deuhart crew with a night like no other. On the highest part of the ship resided the little troublemaker Twina, who's enjoying her slices of seafood-covered pizza given exclusively to her by Bamadokin. Its taste always made the girls squeal in joy. Hey, for a second there, I thought you went to sleep, her other half said upon climbing up to join her.
Nah, Twina wanted to enjoy the view. Everyone's drinking down there, and that's no fun.
The younger half responded and chomped on another slice. The Admiral sat by her side and patted her head. You'll understand once you get older. It's nice, you know?
Drunk Trina is smoother brain Trina.
Little Twina joked with a chuckle. Yeah, sure am. So, want some of my salad? It's still fresh. Reactively, Twina let out a loud bleh and left her tongue out. Both halves continued to talk while staring into the stars. It was a rare sight after all. The minutes passed in the blink of an eye, and they continued still.
Fine. I won't. Twina kicked the alien this time. He looked too suspicious though.
I know, but you can't be impulsive in moments like that. People can and will get hurt if you do, Trina explained, the little one now with her head on her lap.
Twina promises not to do that again,
she said, offering her pinky for a pinky swear. Promise, the other girl said while extending hers. More time passed, and it was closing in to the little one's bedtime. She was clearly tired and had even yawned once or twice by now. The Admiral picked her up and began to descend the ship carefully.
Trina best,
the now half-asleep kid said while snuggling in Trina's grasp. No, Twina is, she answered playfully.
Twina loves you, Trina.
Closing her eyes, she said this. I love you more, Twina. Innocently, the older half said before a glow enveloped both, their silhouettes soon merging and becoming a single bigger one. It only lasted briefly before it split into two again, leaving Twina wide awake and terrified on the floor. Trina's expression, on the other hand, was of confusion, but at the same time, it had a hint of excitement. She had finally managed to become whole again, even if only for a moment. Twina, wait! The Admiral screamed as the little girl flew away in sheer terror.
What happened there?
Twina asked as she stared into the still playing shard. But it was a complete silence that she received. In the middle of the room was a chair, and in it sat inner Twina. Twina went over and shook her a bit, and eventually she reacted.
Oh, sorry. Just remembering how it felt made me freeze. That bad? I don't get it. Going from existing to a non-existent state is terrifying. It's like drowning in a void of everlasting nothingness where you scream, but nobody hears you. That was the feeling I felt for that mere instant when you and Trina fused.
The inner self explained, standing up as the chair beneath her vanished.
That sounds awful. I would never want to fuse if it made me feel like that.
Twina exclaimed while holding her inner self by the shoulders.
I know. You told Trina the very same thing.
While pointing towards the shard, inner Twina replied. The shard now presented the ending of the conversation after the accidental failed fusion attempt. Twina was in her room, and Trina was now leaving it, a bit disappointed.
Why is Trina disappointed?
Quickly, Twina asked.
Because for the first time in so long, she finally felt whole again. Trina was able to be the person she was meant to be, even if it only lasted for the blink of an eye. Her forgotten dream had been awakened once more. However, she decided to abandon it after she hurt her feelings.
Twina felt a bit bad after hearing that. It was so sad.
So that's why. Not fully, no. What? Trina also wanted to be whole because she knew that while being Trina Deuhart, she would be able to keep everyone safe. Internal smiles would be a guaranteed reality.
With that, inner Twina answered, leaving the poor girl in front of her conflicted. And within these conflicted thoughts, Twina ran out of the room. She couldn't accept any of it. Part 9. Acceptance. In a fraction of a thought, the inner girl got a hold of her outer self's hand and didn't let go.
Why are you running? I thought we said no more running away. It's my fault that this endless loop continues. If I just fused, nobody else would have died. No more rewinding, and everyone would be so happy. But instead, I was a selfish child that preferred to be around.
In an angry shout, inner Twina was sent back, hitting one of the shards. The girl got up, now a bit hurt, as she gazed over at the emotional mess that her outer self was.
Did you ever think that maybe it wasn't your fault? We deserve to exist too. Just like Trina, like Seanster, like everyone. You cried that you wanted to be you forever, and Trina respected that even though it hurt like hell. So don't just run away and think to invalidate your wish.
And with that scream, inner Twina collapsed to her knees and tried to recover from it all. The other girl's eyes closed, and she took a deep breath before taking a step and then another until she reached the other kid and got her on her back. She then piggybacked her into the room.
I'm sorry. I just want everyone to be happy from now on. If giving away my life would save everyone, then that should be a wonderful thing, right? No, it wouldn't be.
The now slightly embarrassed girl responded.
I guess you're right. Twina and I will someday reach that goal together. Remaining as one isn't entirely necessary.
As the two girls continued talking, one of the shards from inside the room began to glow brighter than a star. It continued to do so until they noticed and approached it. Placing their hands on it activated the memory, and it began to play out like the many before it. Today had been a day of defeat as the rain washed away the blood of those corpses on board. In the center of the ship, the orange-haired girl held the body of someone very dear to her. His tail was lifeless, and his eyes were empty. He was so cold. Twina, the Admiral let out softly from behind. She had been heavily injured. Her right arm had been almost sliced away, and she held the wound, trying not to bleed out. Many bullets had grazed her as well, but those weren't life-threatening. The left side of her face was covered in blood, and that orange eye of hers could no longer be seen. Twina turned her face and cried harder.
I can't do this anymore. I'm tired, Trina. I can't keep everyone safe. Please, let it end. I can't keep seeing them die. So, please, Trina.
Trina understood what her other half had wanted, so she slowly stumbled until she reached her and gave her a big hug with her left arm. The young girl stopped crying and embraced her other half. This hug didn't last long as the Admiral collapsed on the floor soon after. It was almost her time to pass on too.
Trina!
Trina cried out in full force as he tried to get her to get back up, but she wasn't even conscious anymore.
Please, Trina, don't leave me all alone!
Without hesitation, her rewind power activated, not caring if she was against it or not. Twina wasn't stable enough to notice what was happening as she held the Admiral's body tightly. And just like that, everything broke away as if it was made out of glass, leaving the young girl unconscious as well. The recently promoted Admiral held the young girl's hand as they made their way to the vessel. Unlike many times before, the young girl collapsed and was caught by Trina.
Trina tired.
Trina immediately knew something was wrong upon hearing her. Her own near-death experience became irrelevant as she cried out for help.
That was it. When I was chained, you broke and your memories got sealed.
Inner Twina explained, resting her head on Twina's shoulder.
I'm sorry. It's okay. We went through a lot. I'm impressed that we lasted so long, to be honest.
Hopping off the piggyback ride, Inner Twina hid the shard and grabbed both of her outer self's hands.
Hey, can I tell you something? Anything. I feel more like myself than the Twina from the memories. Is it okay if I remain as myself? I don't know if I can ever be in the Twina from before, but I know that I can continue to be the me I am.
With a cheerful look, Twina exclaimed, curiously waiting for the answer the other her would give.
Of course. I wouldn't want it to be any other way.
Part 10. A Leap of Faith. As the sun began to loom over the horizon, the Deuhart crew was in attendance. The archipelago was in sight, but the yellow glow from the cage was no longer visible. So, we will carry out an evacuation. Nobody will be left behind. Time is limited, so we must be quick. You informed everyone on site, Jay, the Admiral asked in the last part of her speech.
Yes, all personnel within the 8 islands are in position for extraction.
The Vice Admiral responded. Good. Now, everyone, I need your best out there. Lives are at stake, and we can't manage to mess up. I will not be with you as the lieutenant, and I will face our foe directly. I promise that I will stop her. I will shut down AI Trina. So grant me your strength. All the crewmates roared in approval as they ran to their positions. Failing their admiral wasn't an option. As they all dispersed, only Trina and Shanster remained in the main deck. Is the craft ready? She asked, beginning her descent alongside him.
I'll need to make some adjustments. Give me a few minutes.
And with that, he sped up ahead. It's almost time. Her steps grew quiet, the world around growing distant. Trina's hands were trembling, and she rubbed them together to try to calm down. Her front was almost about to shatter by now.
Admiral?
A young boy spoke from behind, making the woman turn. Oh, Zach, my bad. I didn't notice you. The young man approached closer until he was in speaking range.
Can I come with you?
She laughed and placed her hand on top of his spiky hair before ruffling it up. Sorry, but this is something only I can do. It's very dangerous, and I don't want anyone else to get hurt because of it. Trina was very protective of this kid, so him being in danger was a no-go. Of course, this did upset him a bit. Everyone else was going to help, and he was going to be stuck waiting for her return. Not to forget that he had been dead worried since yesterday.
I understand.
Trina noticed this and pulled him closer for a hug. I'll bring Twina back, I promise you. Zach turned red from head to toe, his teen instincts telling him to gain distance, but he ignored them just this once. Being hugged felt so warm, and the feeling irradiated by the Admiral was heartwarming. Sometime later, the Admiral had almost arrived at the craft's location, but once more, someone came to talk.
Guessing that tonight we're gonna have the biggest feast to ever grace the Deuhart crew, huh?
The DCC said, already in uniform and ready to cook up a storm. We sure will! Do your best, Bomba! And with a fist bump, both of them parted ways. Shanster's newly constructed craft had been completed. It was a special boat with a launching platform that could send anyone in the air up to 550 meters. It would grant them a special shield that would protect whoever launched from the G-forces caused by such a quick movement. The boat also had boosters for speed, as well as shields in case of being attacked.
I'm well aware that it's quite late to reconsider, but are you sure that you want to go ahead with your plan? It's pretty out there if you ask me.
From side to side, his tail swayed, waiting for an answer. But as the Admiral put on a parachute, he knew her answer. Getting Twina back is my top priority. I'll launch myself and get into the Twina stand that has her and pull her right out. She hasn't been moved, right?
Nope.
Shanster quickly replied, putting on his energy-sensing binoculars.
She's still on the head of the center Twina stand. Their current ETA for IO1 is 27 minutes.
And with that, he took them off and started up the craft. Getting on the craft, the Admiral smiled. Today, there would be no more losses. This time, she would save everyone, and their smiles would be seen across the world. Here we go! She shouted as the boat sped up towards the tumbling. Both she and Shanster were ready to save the little one. I'm coming, Twina. Just a bit longer. Not long after, the speeding boat had stopped, and the launcher was being calibrated with their new coordinates.
Be sure that you have everything. Once you're up there's nothing much I can do.
Shanster said while typing on the craft's computer. Got it. Trina checked all over and adjusted her backpack containing the 2 parachutes. She was ready.
Oh, before I forget, here.
Shanster handed the Admiral a spear-like object.
This will come in handy.
What is it? The curious girl asked as she held it in her hand.
It's a device capable of creating an energy platform that will stop your fall instantly. You squeeze it, then you throw it. Do know that it's only a single use, so use it if only necessary.
After being told, Trina placed it inside her pocket. She hoped not to have to use it, but she would without a second to spare if the situation called for it. The launcher let out a loud beep, signifying that all required calibrations had been completed. All that was left was to step on it. Wish me luck!
See you on the other side.
With that last exchange, Trina stepped on the boat's launcher. In an instant, she was enveloped in a force field, and the next, she was in the air. Down beneath were the Twina stands, and high above was the main body looming over menacingly. Our Admiral moved swiftly in the air and repositioned herself enough to make it to the middle one before releasing her parachute. It was almost time. There! she internally shouted as she spotted little Twina. She was rolled up in a fetal position on the stand's forehead. Stop! A shout from well above resonated through the very air, and Trina recognized who it belonged to. AI Trina was floating nearby, the giant titan construct still moving without her. Trina ignored the girl and tried to move enough to make it to Twina, but the parachute suddenly got grabbed. Looking up once more, the Deuhart crew's leader witnessed AI Trina holding it with both hands, similar to how a little kid would grab something they want, eyes closed and everything. Admiral Trina, please! You can't go in there! The girl desperately cried out, pulling harder. Knowing that she would soon be caught, Trina pulled out her combat knife. Sorry, but I don't have time for this! With a quick move, she cut herself free from the parachute and fell right into the Twina stand's energy. No! In total terror, I screamed as she saw her mom splash right into the upgraded core replica of a Twina stand. The Admiral lost consciousness on impact and floated within, a few meters from where the little one had been placed earlier. Countless years ago. It was quite a sunny day. The birds chirped with joy, while some flew all over the park. Some kids played on the swing sets, while others played at the monkey bars. It seemed peaceful all around, but that wasn't entirely the case. Near the sandbox, some kids were bothering a little girl with pigtails. Her cute dress had been stained with dirt and sand.
Get out of our sandbox, shorty. Only big kids are allowed.
The group leader stated while pointing at the girl, the others behind him laughing or agreeing with him.
But I got here first.
The girl tried to defend herself, but more sand was kicked her way, covering her ever more. And it's ours now. The bigger kid scared the girl by threatening to hit her, but they were stopped by an even bigger kid, one with shiny goggles. The girl's eyes shined as bright as a star as she witnessed her hero arrive.
Steven!
She exclaimed in total glee. With a low sweep, he had demolished all three kids that were bullying the girl, and then he stood proud with both hands crossed over his chest.
Try to do anything else to my little sister, and you'll get more than just your butts on the ground.
The three kids immediately fled the scene in different directions without looking back. They had been intimidated away. The girl got up and hugged her big brother tightly. She was happy that he had saved her from the bullies. Both siblings looking quite similar. Their features easily identified them as so. They even shared the same dark brown hair and eye color. The most significant difference between the two appeared to be their age. The boy was a few years older than the girl and he was around a head taller. In a quick movement, the girl's hand got grabbed.
We better get back to Mom. She's probably worried.
I'm sorry.
Upon hearing this, Steven delivered quite a few head pats.
Don't be. Never be sorry for trying to do the things you want.
The Admiral held her throbbing head. The pain was thankfully subsiding. Strange to see you here, Trina said from across the blank place. She spoke as if this wasn't their first encounter. Inner, eh? So I'm completely out, Trina said while getting up to meet her other self. Seems so. What was it this time? Must have been what I fell in, Trina said, a bit embarrassed, rubbing the back of her head. Both girls sat on a couch that formed thanks to their will, and they continued. So, can you explain why your memories began to flare up? The entire hall is going to a rave, you know? The inner girl pointed, and indeed all of them were playing simultaneously. I can only blame the Twina stand. If it's not that, then I have no clue. We never have a clue, do we? Nope, Twina exclaimed as she stretched her legs into a just-formed table. So, what memory was it this time? Inner Trina asked out of curiosity. The one with the bullies at the sandbox, Trina replied. When Steven saved us. We were 8 back then, and he was 11. Feels like an eternity though, because in a way, it has been. Both girls got up and walked towards the door right after. They knew how to exit the place, but unlike the last few times, the entrance was completely sealed off. That's new, Trina said, a bit intrigued, beginning to think that this would be harder than it needed to be. And odd, the other one exclaimed. I swear that it wasn't this way before. More attempts were made, but none proved successful. Trina was stuck. Or so she thought. Their search for an exit was interrupted as a shard flew at high speed toward them. Just before colliding, it came to a stop. Now they too are troublemakers, huh? Inner Trina joked while looking at her outer self. I don't think it is. With a serious expression, she responded, Should we see it? At first, they were hesitant to make contact, but as they gazed at each other, they agreed to go through it together. Both the girls placed their hands on the shard, and it began playing the memory from long ago. A long day had passed for the teen girl as she finally arrived home. Her current hidden expression didn't exactly convey happiness, quite the opposite in fact.
So how did the audition go?
The young man asked, lying on the couch near the entrance. The girl finally let her face be seen, and it looked so defeated. They chose someone else again. With that, she crashed next to her brother, hoping that his head pats would extinguish this anguish. As expected, he did the usual and comforted her. She had been trying so hard, yet no success recently.
There. You'll surely get it next time.
Back in the hall, the memory continued, but Trina felt a bit nostalgic after hearing her name spoken. It had been so long since she had heard it out loud. Inner Trina noticed this and smiled. She too loved this name forgotten to time. I needed to hear that, Trina let out as she reached out to the shard, trying to make contact with Steven. Unfortunately, no matter how much she wished, there was no reaching him anymore. How about Rar Kitty Panda? That one was a good one too. The inner self joked in an attempt to cheer up the girl beside her. The Admiral immediately turned red and shouted, "No, it wasn't!" Sure it was. Our first true stage name. Everyone loved it. I was a kid that knew no better. It's so embarrassing. Especially when Mom found out. She showed everyone. Trina couldn't handle it anymore, so she covered Inner Trina's mouth with her hand. That's enough, okay? I don't want to remember that. The hand was slowly lowered, and both girls remained quiet for a bit. I'm sorry, I just wanted to cheer you up. Inner Trina was the first to speak. I know. The memory nearby never stopped playing. It continued without interruption.
I haven't found anything either. Nobody wants to hire me.
Steven continued stroking his sister's hair while saying it. That's awful! The younger sibling exclaimed, knowing what would happen soon if he didn't get one.
If nothing turns out soon, I might have to join the Navy. Maybe. Sailing the 7 seas.
The older brother even made a dramatic pose with his hands to emphasize it. This, however, angered the girl, who now stood up. With seasickness? No, you're not! She immediately protested.
Fine, then the Army.
He quickly gave an alternative. Those suck and you know it! The now angry teen yelled, stomping her foot repeatedly on the carpet.
Yeah, but the pay is good. I could improve things, and maybe even save up so you could go to college.
Now determined, Steven clenched his fist. The little sister felt as if she wasn't being heard at all, so she karate chopped the top of her stupid brother's head. I said no! I prefer you over college! This sudden attack made the guy laugh. A second after, he stood up and placed his palm on the short girl's head.
If I can give you a life of eternal smiles, then I'll gladly sacrifice mine to make it happen. Don't underestimate the love of an older brother.
The girl turned redder than a tomato and hugged her brother right after. In a way, she wished that he would stop acting like an anime protagonist, but she found it rather endearing. Soon after, they would eat dinner alongside their parents. Tears streamed down Trina's face as she continued facing the shard. They only got stronger as she saw the happy family spending time together. Inner Trina hugged her outer self as she, too, felt her heart breaking with every second that passed. The shard eventually faded away, and a different one descended to where the first one had been at. This one of a different time, perhaps a few months after the previous happy one. This is hopeless! The girl screamed frustration as she threw her backpack across the room. From downstairs, her brother had heard the door being slammed, so he came to see what had occurred.
Is everything okay?
The girl almost yelled back at him because of the rage coursing through her, but she managed to control herself just enough. I'm not! They picked someone else again! With a pillow, she covered her face and screamed into it. The older brother comforted her the way he always had, and in no time, she was feeling better. It's not fair.
I know. The world has never been fair,
he said without filter, scaring the younger girl a bit.
But just because it is, doesn't mean that we should give up.
And look where that has gotten me.
Don't be so harsh on yourself. They love you as Rar Kitty Panda online. You're a total sensation there.
Steven pointed out, trying to up her spirits. Oh yeah, because non-profit fan-based parodies will carry me for the rest of my time. I can't live out of air, Steven. I have to think of my future. The head pats only intensified until the girl was unable to fight against him. Afterwards, her big brother spoke.
Creating connections, learning, and improving with others, meeting people from all over the world through calls. You are already building your path, even if you can't see it yet. And I'm sure that someday you'll get a role suited just for you. One that nobody else will be able to fill.
For a brief second, her eyes lit up, but soon they fell into doubt again. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not good enough.
Of course you are good enough. More than good enough. And even if you weren't, I'm sure the day would.
When do I know then? When do I know that I'm ready to be the best me? Stephen lowered himself so they could both be eye to eye. What he was about to tell her was an advice he would have wished to have been given when he was her age.
You never will. It's a leap of faith. That's all there's to it.
He was right. That's all there was to it. Trina said within the now colorful canvas room. Sadly, he would never get to see it. None of them would. And with those words, the room began to fall apart into a fiery inferno. Part 11. From You from So Long Ago.
Eat up, sweetie. You need all the energy you can get for tomorrow's audition.
The proud mother moved from one side of the kitchen to the other, her orange braids swinging too, trying to keep up with her hyperactive state. She had been cooking for the last hour nonstop and bringing the plates to the table. The variety available was impressive, to say the least. But Dad and Stephen aren't here yet, the seated daughter pointed out, knowing that it would be rude to start without them.
They won't mind,
She quickly responded while setting another finished dish on the table. The overworked stove was making weird noises by this point, yet nobody seemed to notice. The teen listened to her mom and picked up the plate with her favorite dish first, munching on it with quite a ferocious appetite.
Sweetie, the salad is a side dish. Try some of the meat first.
But salad is best, the kid protested.
It may be, but it lacks the nutrients you need to become big and strong.
The girl finished her plate at that moment and muttered, I'm not that short, Mom. The door nearby opened, and through it, a tired man entered. He was pretty tall and rough-looking, quite intimidating from afar. His short hair was faddish black-shaved, with the top being orange, just like his wife's.
I'm home,
He announced for everyone to hear. He sounded a bit out of it, though. The family sat at the table and began to eat, the youngest one quickly going through her favorites. She knew that her big brother was running late, so she saved up a few bits of his favorites on a separate plate.
I'm certain I'm a little... Well, get the roll. It rightfully belongs to her.
The father nodded to himself as he said this. He was so sure of it and incredibly proud of something that hadn't happened yet. His wife also joined in, the couple now nodding in agreement. The intensity was slowly ramping up. It's just a theater play role, one that I haven't gotten yet, may I add. You two are just overreacting. It's not something that special, you know? The girl lied, trying to calm them both down. They both hummed, knowing the truth. Okay, maybe a little, she admitted with blushing cheeks. Funny enough, Stephen arrived at that precise moment and saw the whole thing.
How cute.
He said with a chuckle, making his little sister turn tomato red on the spot. This would be a dinner night to never forget. An hour or so later, the determined girl walked from one corner of her room to the other, the script in hand as she read it. She was beginning to grow frustrated after messing up the same line repeatedly. That was so creepy! That voice was so faint and inaudible that I couldn't make out the exact words. Forbidden what? Fochichi? Question mark? Once more, she spoke it but messed it up again, making her mad enough to throw the script into the floor.
So, big words are still your weakness, huh?
Her older brother commented nearby. He was sitting on her bed while eating some chips. Steven? In a stuttered scream she delivered while almost falling over. She had no idea he had been there.
The very same.
The smiling young man exclaimed while adjusting his shiny goggles. Get out of my room! I'm busy!
Busy butchering that one word for sure. Let me help you with that.
Wait! The little sister cried out as he picked up the script from the carpet. It terrified her that he would laugh at the play she was trying to be a part of.
I remember this one. I had to be one of the background elves back in 8th grade. Such a weird play.
And with that, he returned it to the little one in front of him.
Let's practice together, okay?
Okay. And so they practiced for a few minutes, Stephen teaching her how to correctly pronounce that big word that seemed impossible to get right. Eventually, though, she stood tall, well, as tall as she could, and decided to try it one more time. Inaudible! Inaudible! That was so creepy! That voice was so faint and inaudible that I couldn't make out the exact words. Her eyes lit up as she finished it, her cute face growing cuter as she squeaked in celebration, receiving a congratulatory head pat right after only made it so much better. She knew that she had this in the bag. That role was as good as hers. The outside had become quite dim and gray since she had entered the town theater. The rain clouds were covering the entire sky, and occasional thunder could be heard. This, however, didn't stop the girl's sparkling shine. She had just gotten the role. Not only that, but she had also been offered future paid roles if her performance went great. This was her dream come true. "Just you wait! I'm gonna blow your minds!" With her arm raised into the air, she shouted, receiving a few glares from those that passed by. She didn't mind, though. Right now, her full attention was on getting back home. She wanted to tell her family in person. All she needed to do now was make it to the bus stop. Her attention span did sway, though, as she saw a friendly dog. It was a big fluffy doggo! So as an ordinary girl, she went to play with it. This only lasted for a bit since its owner came running for him. The curious dog had escaped earlier and finally had been found by its now tired owner.
Thank you so much. If it weren't for you, who knows how long I would have been chasing him.
The dog's owner bowed their head. Soon after, the girl waved goodbye and they went their separate ways. "Oh shoot! Is that the bus? Wait!" The teen screamed as she witnessed the bus taking off without her. She attempted to run after it, but came up short as it sped up, leaving her behind. Walking it is, then. The day had become darker as she made her way home. The woods today seemed a bit more sinister, the sidewalk path being the only safe place to traverse. The way back home was kinda long, so the girl became lost in her thoughts. I wonder how they'll react. They were already so proud yesterday. Mom will probably be like, "I knew you could do it," and have a feast ready. Meanwhile, Dad will definitely ruffle my hair and say, "That's my girl." But what will Steven say? I can't think of anything. He's too random. Still, it was thanks to him that I went this far. A leap of faith. That's all there was to it. She happily walked past her family mailbox, not noticing the sudden change in temperature. Thunder began to be heard frequently now as the rain began to pour down. The flames, however, weren't bothered by this. They continued to rage on the wooden structure, some of it already beginning to collapse. The shine within the eyes of a certain girl all but withered away. In front of her stood the only home she'd ever known, crumbling down in a fiery inferno. Tears began to cascade down. The once dark hair she possessed transformed into a fiery orange, much more dynamic than what her parents had possessed. Her eyes soon did the same. The fire inside her heart burned in pure rage, and without thinking, she ran into the burning house. Those good times were over. The previous era incinerated so a new one could surge in its place. On that day, the young girl lost everyone she had ever held dear. Trina's eyes were empty as she witnessed the memory. Just how many times had she had this one corrupted into a nightmare? Inner Trina had refused to watch it once more and instead had gone to see a different one. A memory long forgotten to time. One far kinder than the ending received. "So I just put it in the box? What if it gets ruined?" the girl asked, holding a single sheet of paper in her hand. The older brother reassured her with a head pad.
It's made of metal, so it'll hold. Be sure to go over it before putting it in, though. The lock won't give out unless more than 10 years have passed.
The girl nodded and began to read the letter, quickly getting overwhelmed. But once more, her brother comforted her.
No hurry. Take as long as you need, okay? Whenever you're ready, just place it in, lock it, and come get me. I'll bury it for you.
"Thanks, Steven," the girl exclaimed while delivering a big hug to him. He hugged her back and smiled.
Anytime.
Right after, he walked off and the girl sat on the outside wooden table with a pencil in hand. She had also brought a few more sheets of paper in case she made a mistake. This letter had to be perfect. It had been noon when the letter's rewrite had begun, and even as time ticked by, the girl continued to write. The pencil sometimes moved frantically while, at times, it remained in place like a statue. The backyard grass had slowly received a few scrap papers in the form of paper balls. The girl had discarded them whenever she messed up in the slightest bit, but eventually, this stopped as she got a hold of her feelings and plastered them onto the sheet. "From you, from so long ago. I wonder if you are still happy, if your smile can be seen from across the world. I hope that it can. Did you become the idol we dreamed of when we were little? How about a new stage name? What about finding friends to hold on to forever? Future me? It may be 10 years, 15 years, or maybe even 20 years until you get to read this. So I can only hope that things went well. I know there will be hard times, and even times when we feel frustrated. Times when we fail and fail. But never give up. If you fail 1,000,000 times, then rise 1,000,001 times. No matter what happens, keep going. I just wanted to remind you of that if, for some reason, you forgot. I also hope that you find someone that makes your days brighter. And that you, too, can be that person for someone else. Heck, why not everyone else? A world where everyone can smile is a world where I want you to be in. But most importantly, I want your world to be one of joys and wonders. One where every day is a new adventure. No walls can stop you, so smash them into pieces. Maybe some of these things won't happen. Maybe none of them will. But with my heart, I hope you can be a happy and healthy person. That's my wish. Until then, I'll be waiting. Sincerely, you from so long ago that you probably forgot. And with that, the girl folded the paper and placed it in the pink envelope. I hope that wasn't too cheesy. Future me is gonna laugh when reading that mumbo-jumbo word fest. Her cheeks were a bit red as she placed the sealed envelope inside the box. With a loud click, she used the lock and left it on top of the table. And as expected, she ran into the house to get her big brother. The time capsule was ready to be buried. Inner Trina wiped a tear away as the shard turned off. It had been a great memory to see at least one last time. The inspired girl then turned around and saw that her outer self was still staring at the fire. Quickly, she cut the distance between them and embraced her. Trina accepted the hug and broke into tears. The things we lost may be gone, but their embers remain, forever to be a part of us until we too become a part of them. But there are still things to fight for right now, so we need to keep going. Inner Trina said while passing her hand over the Admiral's hair. I know.
So you're telling me that Natsu is new to us?
Twina asked, quite perplexed at the revelation.
Yep,
the inner girl answered.
He's exclusive to this try. Since we have made it over a year farther than in any previous one, him joining is entirely new. That's so cool!
Twina exclaimed.
The coolest!
Both girls laughed as they kept forming wackier sunglasses to try to one-up each other. It was the best way to pass the time, since they had been unable to exit the subconscious space.
Huh?
Twina turned as she heard an odd noise. Inner Twina soon did the same. From above, the wall broke, the shards dispersing as the Admiral broke through. Little Twina's eyes shined as they made contact with her other half.
Trina!
A smirk surfaced on Trina's face as she saw her little self below, and as her eyes glowed, she said, "Found you!" Part 12, Trina Deuhart. A bright orange light enveloped the world as, for the briefest of instants, both halves made contact inside the Twina stand, mesmerizing Ai, who just a second prior had seen her maternal figure plunge into the coated colossal. Even the crew at the archipelago could see it as this very light would circle the entire planet. It was unlike anything ever witnessed before. Trina's eyes opened wide as she regained consciousness, but before she could get a hold of Twina, the Twina stand momentarily glitched and flickered out of existence, causing her to fall. Under normal circumstances, she would have been scared, but after everything, she simply smiled. In a quick, precise moment, she took out the device that the lieutenant had given her earlier and threw it. It quickly activated and formed an orange platform that stopped her fall completely, kind of like magic. Not far above, Twina slowly descended as she floated down towards the Admiral, the young girl still in process of regaining full consciousness. With both arms, Trina reached towards the sky as the glistening star made it down until she grabbed her. In a loving embrace, she held the girl as both were reunited again.
Twina back!
The little one announced, feeling at home once more. Welcome back! The bigger girl tightened the hug. Both girls remained in this moment for a few seconds before redirecting their attention back to the situation at hand. Let's save her, okay? Twina's cute smile could be seen as she rested her head on Trina's shoulder. After hearing that, she knew that they both understood it.
Can we save her as one?
She then asked. Trina nestled the kid's hair. Only if you're okay with that. After those words were spoken, their synchronization became complete, and within their embrace, the same light as before formed again. Just at this time, they became one with it. Once it settled, a new silhouette could be spotted from above. It was bigger than the older half had been and more mature. As the glow ceased to be, a woman stood tall on the energy platform, her arms crossed over her chest. Her attire was entirely different than both halves. New clothing had been created to fit her figure, of course. Her thigh-grazing black boots, laced elegantly in pristine white, exuded a sense of allure as they encased her legs. Just above, she showcased her figure in a perfectly tailored white uniform. A navy uniform, to be precise. The stark contrast of her black shoulder blades, tie, and belt added a touch of sophistication to her ensemble. The stylish uniform gracefully descended into a short, yet tasteful skirt, accompanied by comfortable spats underneath. Atop her vibrant hair, she proudly sported a captivating white and black cap adorned with a shining star at its center. Without a doubt, this outfit was perfect for her. She has been reborn once more, and for the first time, she would be making her grand entrance. Her flame-like hair grew brighter than on that night long ago when it had first awakened. Unlike that day, she was no longer submerged in despair. Today, she stood high above the ocean in total confident joy. There was one task for her to complete, and certainly she would. Grand Admiral of the Seas, Trina Deuhart, was here to save that girl. Upon witnessing what appeared to be a merge between my friend and the Admiral, I remained in place. Half of me wanted to be close, to be able to embrace that warm, caring goddess. The other half wanted to escape immediately, my very scan function warning me not to come into contact with that being. My conflicted thoughts kept me in place. In the blink of an eye, she had closed the distance between us and was now mere meters away from me. The very movement itself had vanished all of my coded army as well as the borrowed and improved skeletal structure. Those traitors I had captured less than a day ago were now floating beneath us. All that energy had been returned to me as we both remained silent in the air facing each other. Her bright smile exuded such confidence yet no malice. It was as if I was seeing someone extending their hand to help me, someone that would hear me out. So I slowly got closer to her, and she opened her arms to accept me. Every single part of me screamed to get away, the scan flashing red, my body malfunctioning ever more. Yet I never wavered on my decision. I knew what I wanted and, more importantly, what I needed. So without regrets, I hugged her with all my heart, and she did so back. Tears escaped down my face as I held her even more. There, it's okay. Nobody will hurt you or anyone you care about. Those rogue members you spoke about will be stopped. That I can promise you, the woman told me as she gently passed her hand through my hair. I felt so relieved. Just after, my whole body began to fail to an unprecedented extent, similar to short-circuiting. The pain became unbearable, so I cried out in a scream that reverberated all around. The next thing I knew, I was teleported to a small boat where the lieutenant was at. He seemed rather confused upon laying eyes on the lady that resembled the Admiral and Twina. "Sean, save her," she commanded, and placed her hand on my forehead. "You'll be okay." By the time I blinked, the woman had disappeared, and instead, I was able to see my friend again and the Admiral right beside her. Twina cried as she held me close. "Hey, Twina." I tried to make her feel better as I placed my hand over her cute little head. From the expressions on the lieutenant's face, I could tell something was wrong, or at the very least, not going according to plan. You're so easy to read, Dad.
Oh no, damn it! No, this can't be happening, this just can't happen!
He cursed as his typing became more frantic on the boat's touchpad keyboard. "Come on, Seanster, we have to save her!" the Admiral exclaimed right after, so caringly.
Don't go!
Twina cried as she buried her head into my chest. I hugged her as I didn't know what to say. Maybe my fate couldn't be avoided, but at least I would try to do something about it. "Lieutenant, what's wrong with me?" Upon hearing my question, he turned to face me and responded.
Your systems were overwhelmed by coming into contact with that form Trina and Twina achieved. Its energy coursed through you, and it's now corrupting your very code as we speak. And if I can't stop it, then you'll...
He stopped before he could finish. "Then shut me off," I suggested.
No!
Twina protested.
You can't be shut off again!
"I can," I corrected. "If I'm shut down, I should allow the lieutenant time to fix me."
You're right, but I don't know how long it will take me to go through with that.
The lieutenant told me. He was clearly wavering at the moment, with a big smile. I then said, "I don't mind. It's better to do it right than to have a half-baked product, right?" My words appeared to sting both of my parents, and I felt a bit sad afterward. I should have worded it differently. By this point, Twina was so sad that her words were no longer understandable. That and her crying had become even louder. "I don't consider you a half-baked product," the Admiral muttered.
Neither do I. My biggest accomplishment, my everything.
Lieutenant Seanster added right after. Their expressed feelings made me tear up. "I'm glad, but I wish to witness more of this wonderful world, and for that, I'll do whatever it takes. So please, shut me off. I closed my eyes and smiled. I trusted them to fulfill my request. I felt both of my hands being grabbed. I promise to bring you back. I swear I will, Admiral Trina told me as she tightened her hold. I'll be waiting.
Do you have anything you want to tell us before it happens?
Lieutenant Shanster asked, referring to shutting me off. Yeah, I do. I took a deep breath and began. For you, Lieutenant, I'd like to hear more of your logs. So if you're able, please record more of those. I enjoyed my time hearing them.
Wait, you heard my logs?
Yep, every single one of them, I admitted.
I see. Well, I'll try my best to do them every day. I will.
I'll be waiting. I then turned to face the Admiral directly. Her expression had changed after realizing that I'd heard all of the audio logs. Admiral Trina, I started, almost calling her mom, but ultimately going against it. I would like it if you had more time for yourself. I know how much time you spent with me, even if I can't recollect any of it. So have fun. I want you to enjoy things and maybe even play more with Twina. That's really all I wish for you. I'll do my best, she stuttered. She stuttered, saluting me. And once you're back, you'll be part of the Deuhart crew. No questions asked. Hearing that made my eyes sparkle in joy. She had remembered. I can't wait. Then it came down to my final farewell. I'd be saying goodbye to my friend, so I raised my pinky finger to make a promise. She quickly noticed this and placed hers with mine. Twina, you stopped me from doing something so stupid. I was blinded by my emotions and so many other things. You saved me from doing something I'd regret for the rest of my life. So I promise that next time, I will save you in return. Little Twina recomposed herself and said,
Promise!
And we'll play more. Lots of games. We will also eat a ton of Dokin's delicious cooking. We'll play with Zach too. Maybe play some pranks on him as well. Next time, show me cool things like the void, okay? I want to see as many things as I can with you. With that, I finished my wish towards my friend. I was certain that she would keep this promise close to her heart.
Promise!
Twina cried as she saw Shanster getting closer with the controller.
So, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. The button was pushed, and soon my world began to go dark. That first time I had been scared. It hadn't been my choice, but this time it had been my decision to go through with it. So I smiled. I felt loved by the people most dear to me. So I smiled in my final moments of consciousness. I left my hopes and dreams to my family as I entered into my deep slumber once again. Hours later, the Deuhart crew celebrated big with a humongous feast. In their minds, they had thought that a great evil had been vanquished, so they were partying like there was no tomorrow. Trina, Shanster, and Twina had decided to keep the truth to themselves. It was probably the best choice after all the events that occurred since yesterday. They did complete the promise that Trina Deuhart made, though. All the rogue crew members were apprehended and sent away to never sail the 7 seas with the Admiral. This much was accomplished. As for I, after her shutdown, she was transported to the lab, where Shanster stabilized her. In the coming days, he would fix her code to be good as new, if not better than it once was. As the party raged on, Trina lost sight of her other half, so she asked the lieutenant, "Have you seen Twina?" A field of flowers could be seen from atop the hill. On this hill, there was a big tree, and beneath it, there was an open pink treasure chest. Nearby, a girl with twin tails walked towards it and placed a sealed letter inside before locking it. She smiled as the wind blew the petals all over the pocket dimension. A portal soon opened, and through it arrived the Admiral. "You had me worried for a second. Didn't know that you still came here," she said while seeing the beautiful view.
Yeah, I like it here.
Still, we have a party back there, and you are invited.
I know. Twina just wanted to do something first,
the little one explained. Out of nowhere, the Admiral pulled out a big bowl and offered some. "Salad?"
Blech!
The girl immediately let out, instinctively of course. "Just kidding," the playful Admiral jokes. "There's pizza though, tons of pizzas."
Pizza?
The young girl's eyes shined upon hearing that word being spoken. "Yep, and also seafood. Dokin went all out today." Trina did not have to say more. Twina was already sold with the pizza alone, so adding seafood to it only sealed the deal. So she grabbed her hand and hopped through the portal to enjoy the party. Both girls had a night filled with joy and laughter. Epilogue, Twinaverse of Madness. A new day had begun once more as the sun rose to meet the Deuhart crew. After their victory over the rampaging AI weeks back, their confidence had risen. They all felt like they could take on the world. Balmadokin was cooking up a feast as always. Shanster was experimenting at his lab to perfect some of the recently found classified technology. Perhaps it could help I in the future. Natsu was keeping watch. The sergeant was looking over the horizon. Perhaps today he would meet Yuri, he thought while taking another swig from his trusty canteen. As for her two halves, they were doing their own things. Twina was studying coding to someday be able to help Shanster fix I. She wanted her to become a crewmate soon. Twina genuinely wanted her friend to be happy alongside everyone here, and if accomplishing that meant understanding letters and numbers, then so be it. As for Trina, she was looking over the bulletin board on the wall of her command deck. In it, many photos sparked memories. A certain quintuplet could be seen in one of the top corners. Many pins and darts were holding the picture in place. The missing poster of a star-eyed blonde lady could also be seen tucked below other similar posters. Trina stared at one of the images and ripped it off, throwing it away in a bin. It had been a depiction of a peculiar zombified girl that had ruined some of her streams, so she decided to scrap it. Keeping it could be a bad omen for future pools. As she continued to look over the remaining items, everything began to shake on board. It was as if the very air was vibrating at a different frequency. And then came an earth-shattering sound from outside, which petrified the bigger half of the Grand Admiral. To any normal person, they would have thought this to be the end of the world, but Trina knew better. In one of her many nightmares, she had witnessed the madness that was able to ensue. This sound! The sergeant immediately arrived to check on her, but Trina ran past him to see the shattering air outside. Trina could feel the sweat drops falling down her face as the sound grew louder. This was truly it. From the corner of her eye, she saw a portal, and from it, little Twina jumped out of it. But unlike her, she seemed excited.
It's here! The Twinaverse opening is here!
Being aware that this could mean the end of this path, Trina attempted to get closer to Twina. They needed to fuse now. If Trina Deuhart appeared, they could save everyone. Sadly, before they could embrace in a hug, an obnoxious energy beam enveloped Trina and enclosed her into an energy sphere. Everyone looked up to see who had done it, and soon they all became paralyzed by fear. Above them, they saw a familiar face from days ago. Their Grand Admiral of the Seas was sitting in midair with a smirk, but this wasn't the Trina Deuhart that had defeated the malicious AI. No, this was someone else. Red and black energy surrounded her as she held a device in one of her hands, similar to a wand. This device was responsible for imprisoning Trina as it radiated the energy that had captured her. The counterpart's hair was long and messy, flowing in the air with the ever stronger wind. Its color was void black, the complete opposite of the lively orange hair on the two halves below displayed. Her eyes were red, just like those of a demon. Their evil intent could be felt by anyone daring enough to look their way. Salutations, crew. You've been boarded. Her voice was deeper and more menacing than Grand Admiral Deuhart's. Twina screamed in anger as she flew, trying to strike the intruder with her finishing move, the universe-piercing needle. A huge smirk surfaced on the evil woman's face as she negated the attack with a field of energy and proceeded to flick the little girl down into the ship so hard that she ended up bending the floor. Now, Deuhart fragment. Such minuscule power will prove fruitless against the likes of me. The evil one was having so much fun messing with everyone that she decided to fly right next to them. As for you, weaklings, time to terminate those oaths. Those ominous words were followed by the evil woman raising her left arm into the air. Many energy needles formed above the fleet, their size increasing every fraction of a second. Lowering her arm came next as the needles rained down on the many crew members, their very heads being targeted. This evil being wanted everyone dead.
No!
The young one cried. Without time to think it through, Twina formed a protective barrier amongst every individual member of the Deuhart crew, protecting them from the kill shots that would have ended them all. So much energy had been used to keep them safe that Twina collapsed on all fours as she desperately grasped for air. The sounds of the evil one's clicking heels could be heard behind her, terrifying the little half as she tried to crawl toward the orb that contained her other half. Quite foolish. Give it up, fragment. No matter what you try, you cannot break her prison.
Shut up! Twina will prove you wrong!
Such a malicious laughter then erupted from the red-eyed demon as she looked down at the almost unconscious child. You crack me up. If only you two had managed to succeed in merging, you could have put up a fight against me. Only Trina Deuhart can fight herself on an even playing field. This blasphemous practice of splitting into multiple beings was your undoing. Such a sin shall not be forgiven, so as punishment, I will ensure that you two never become one again. And with that, she teleported beside the orb prison and placed her palm on it.
Ah! Trina!
The fragile fabric you held together can now come undone. Rejoice, little shard. The multiverse opening you so wanted to witness is now upon us. The very air vibrated so hard that it gave everyone a headache. It was too much to handle. But as fast as it appeared, it disappeared. A shattering sound came next. Everything around them had shattered away as the very multiverse opened its doors. Now this very universe would feel the wrath of the many Trinas out there.
No! I don't want this!
No one heard Twina's cries as she collapsed. Her unconsciousness drifted as she saw many other versions of Trina Deuhart entering through the cracks. She couldn't stop this. To be continued.